is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode number 291 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, November the 29th, 2025. My name is Jeremy Lee, and a few quick announcements before we jump into tonight's show. This week's show, Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction Ending Watch Party, back tomorrow night here on the channel. If you are thinking about adding a grail to your collection, check out Fund Your Cards, Hobby's leading consolidator. REA, Robert Edward Auctions 2025 Fall Catalog Auction is live now. You can check it out. You can check out the auction showcase episode I did with President Brian Dwyer here on Monday on the channel. We looked at 25 items and we talked about reserve policies as well. Mint Inc. delivers the ultimate hobby experience, guys. Worldwide shipping, online grading, and auctions. They got it all going on over there. You can use promo code SCL5 for 5% off your first purchase. Check out mintinc.ca where collecting comes to life. And if you're looking to sell your vintage collection, Leighton Sheldon of Just Collect, who will be joining us a little bit later, offers competitive and transparent valuation and payment processes. He would love to speak with you. Leighton at justcollect.com. GP Sports Cards is your go-to for hockey breaks right here on YouTube every Wednesday and Friday. Visit gpsportscards.com. Chronosio is offering flexible pricing, so you only pay for what you need. Pay for 10 months, get 12. Manage your collection smarter. Home.chronosio. That's with a K right up there. The orange one.com. And if you want to sell your cards on eBay, but you want to skip the hassle, message me on Instagram or email me, jeremy@slabsharks.com, and I will help you consign your cards with Slab Sharks. And if you're including comps in your valuation work and you are ready to scrutinize the numbers the way that you should, some data is better than none. Card Ladder is what I use on the regular. Affiliate link in the description below for Card Ladder. Check out the frontrowcardshow.com for dates and locations near you. And don't forget, this show is also available on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave a rating or review. Greatly appreciated. And as always, a huge thank you to all of our loyal viewers and podcast listeners. If you haven't already, please take a moment and subscribe, as always. And maybe even more so than usual, your comments and your questions are in play. Let's bring out Mr. Joe Poirot from Santa Cruz. What is going on, buddy?
It's going well, Jay Lee. I'm excited for tonight. You know, as a teacher, I found some of my best lessons happen when I don't actually do a lesson plan. So maybe tonight we'll have one of our best shows ever.
Hey, you never know what can come of it. As Joe and I were talking about before, we don't really have any major topics tonight, but we'll let you guys bring them. Guest wise, it's going to be the regulars tonight, guys. We got Joe, we'll have Leighton, we got Chris, and we got Josh coming on at some point throughout the evening tonight. So we'll get into it. Let's start with comments, Joe, and then we can see what you and I just want to say to kick things off. But Laura, good evening to you. She says, good evening, Jeremy, respected guests, and all my card brothers and sisters. Hello to Orlando, a collector's dream. Good evening to Foul Ball. Good evening to E105. What is up, Shaheen? Good evening. Chris C is here. Larry Gitlin, what's going on? The Outlaws are here. Skeppy is present. Hello, Jacob Dahl. Nick Chen, good evening. Midlife Greg. Hey, look at my shirt tonight. Midlife Sports Cards. We got Chris from Missouri. What's up, Chris? We got Ding Corners, Peacemaker, Yankees fan, Patriot, Sports Cards, Jeff Hart in the house. What's up, Josh? 90s Auctions will be joining us a little bit later. Polar Bear says Boston Card Hunter is well, he says is an idiot. I'll read it, but hey, we all have our opinions. The Cardboard Corner, what is going on? Craig's Cards, good to see you. Foul Ball says, Jeremy, can you show how to properly penny sleeve a card? That must be going back a ways there, Foul Ball, but sure. I'll show you guys what I do, and I know there is a technique, but what I do is I take the penny sleeve and I open it up. Yep, and I put my flicking finger and I flick the so now you got that little break there, and then I don't have a raw card handy, but here I'll take a card out of a holder. I'll show you guys what I do, and I'll even take a Topps Gretzky rookie raw. So there's a Topps Gretzky rookie.
Ooh.
And I just put it in, and then you see you got no chance to catch you're not going to get that corner.
Well, what are you doing there?
I was just massaging the card into the sleeve and top load. That's what I do. Foul ball. LF goalie, what is up? Good to see you. Larry says, enjoyed watching everyone with midlife discussions. Thank you very much, Larry. Dog food soup is here. Best dressed guy in Canada, says the man whose shirt I am wearing. What's up, MG? Welcome to the show. Bobby Burrell, good evening to you. Yes, we have a freestyling evening tonight. Frank Estella, good evening. Good to see you. Chris C, hello again to you. All right. What do we got, Joe? And to the chat, guys, yeah, hit us up with really whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever you want to get our thoughts on. I think we'll be happy to share thoughts on just about anything tonight. The one thing I'll kick it, unless Joe, did you have anything to kick it off with? Because I got one thing. It's in the news, but I kind of just want to share something about it. But what about you?
Go right ahead. It's your show.
Well, I mean, it's our show. We're doing this together. You know, I just want to address the Probstein situation. And, you know, I don't know that I don't remember when Snipe went offline. Was that before last time we were on, or was that this past week? But Snipe goes down. And next thing you know, I guess no one hears from Probstein for a few days, but then he's back on eBay after he, I guess, kind of tried to sweep that under the rug and move on. And I guess the guy's got employees, so he needs to bring in revenue to pay them, I'm thinking. So back to eBay. And I just got to tell you, like, it's all, from what I can see from Probstein, it's almost like nothing happened in his world, because I must be on the email list. I'm getting the emails from Probstein about all the auctions on eBay, and it's like he never even skipped a beat, is the way it looks to me. And I'm seeing a lot of people talking about how can eBay even let him back on after his questionable behaviors and the way he handles things. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like the hobby's pretty pissed at him, obviously, and the hobby's pretty pissed at eBay for letting him back on. People are talking about it. My thoughts are, I don't even know what to make of it, to be honest. I really don't know what to make of it. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it's a head scratcher for sure. I don't know. I mean, I guess because I always just assumed there was a lot of shilling going on in Probstein's auctions, I'm maybe not as affected because I stopped using him about 5 years ago, maybe. And ironically, some of my better cards though were probably shilled, and I got them from Probstein. So, but that was, you know, because I bid within my own sense of what I wanted to pay or was willing to pay for the card. So, you know, if you just keep that maxim, you know, front of mind, I understand it drives up comps. I understand it drives people out of the market, but I don't know. I'm maybe not as pitchfork and you know, tar and feather in this moment, just because I don't know. It didn't take me by all that much surprise, and you know, we're still learning, right? We're still gathering data and seeing what happened. Now, if he did as much as, you know, some people seem to think he did, I don't see how eBay could bring him back. Like that would be really a poor style on their part for any sort of integrity. But until that really comes to light, you know, I'm not trying to be naive about it. Maybe it will come to light, but all things in good time and due process will be served.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not going to stop buying cards. I buy the cards I want where they are. And like I've said, I'm sure if I'm going to pay $100, a few of those dollars, I don't know how many, are going to be shill dollars, and the rest will be what it would otherwise be worth. But it's just become a part. It's like tipping. And I'm not saying it's the same thing, but like, you know, when you're going to the restaurant to eat, you're probably going to leave a tip. It's like when you're going to buy a card on an auction, or anywhere for that matter, you're probably going to leave a little bit of a shill in there. So if you want to make yourself feel better about it as a buyer, just look at it as you're tipping the seller. I know it doesn't work, guys. I know, but you know. Well,
you coined the term, and I used it, I think, on Greg's show when I was the sort of collector, and I think it was essence of shill.
Maybe there's some S. Yeah,
there's some S, like that all cards maybe have some essence of shill, which is not necessarily something we should be happy about, but if we're not sober to that, we may not have been, paying attention.
It's just the reality of the situation. I mean, because people, there's so much concern that all, comps don't matter or comps are wrong and, you can't trust comps. Well, that's because people think that everything's shilled. And if you think everything's shilled, then yes, every card has an essence of shill in it. But the question is how much, and then the answer is we'll never know. We'll just never know.
Yeah.
Saba Mazloom is asking me, will TAG give their services in China? Saba, I'm sorry, I really have no idea where TAG will be giving their services. I don't really have anything to do with TAG except for being an investor and, sitting in on what are now about once or twice a year, the investor meetings or the investor, like the presentations. Yankees fan, how have you the guts to take a Gretzky rookie and test it on a new product willy-nilly? Well, it's a pretty weak Gretzky rookie. It's horribly off-centered. It's got issues. So I'm not too, it's got some creases. So I'm just not too concerned, Yankees fan, but I appreciate your concern. Jacob says, Joe, Jeremy, question, if money was no option, what hobby box or case would you want to open? I mean, I'm going back in time. There's nothing modern that I'd want to open. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not doing 86 Fleer because, I mean, a million people have done that. So I don't know, like, give me some 33 Gaudy baseball. That would be 48 Leaf baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. 57 Tops basketball. How about you, Joe?
Oh, I might go the inaugural Exquisite, 2003, 4 Exquisite. Maybe one of those metal. Those are too tough odds, though. How long are you ever going to get a, Playmakers Theater or Raise the Roof or?
I'm going vintage, Joe. I'm going like Leaf or Gaudy.
It seems like anytime I ever see anyone open up a vintage pack, though, it's always disappointing, right? It's always like, like it doesn't work out. You don't hit the Babe Ruth or the.
Well, that's why he's saying a box or a case. A pack. It's like, Lucky K. Good evening to you. E105 penny sleeves are easy. Card savers are the challenge. Fair enough. MG says, as long as Probstein took care of his customers and people got their money back, I am moving on. Patriot says, the question I have is how the breach will be handled by Rick and what exposures we have for those that set up accounts. Yeah, those are definitely questions that need to get answered for sure. Ryan Bitter, Jeremy, as a hockey collector, do you collect Prism? I am particularly interested if they have black 1-of-1 finites of your favorite players. I don't know. They only made Prism in hockey for 2 years, 2012 and 13. And I believe that's the case. And I don't know if they made, them, to be honest. I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm not sure. Mookie Chilson, Joe, Jeremy, if Probstein had a card you wanted at auction right now, would you bid on it? Oof. That's a good question. I mean, it depends how bad I wanted the card, Mookie. If it's a card, if it's like a 48 Leaf Musial, which is atop my list right now. I mean, if it was the card I really wanted, if it looked really, really good, probably not. I don't think I would right now, actually. I don't think I would. If it's a 1-of-1 or something like a card out of 10 that I really, 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 really want because I collect those cards, then I would probably bite the bullet and do it. But if it's a card that I could find another copy, another place, I think I'd hold off right now. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, no. I can't imagine there'd be a card that would make me want to do that in this particular moment. And, that's maybe that'll change over time. I don't know. But in this particular moment, I got no interest in bidding on anything Probstein related. Yeah. It would have to be an exceptional situation again, like the last letter I'm missing for a nameplate or, something like that. Lucky K, from a damage control point of view, he is doing the right thing by keeping quiet and just getting back to business with a third-party company like eBay. I mean, if you think about it, that's a great comment because after what happened with the whole shield bidding incident and, Patrick Ryan went public and then Dr. Beckett talked about it and everyone was saying these guys should have kept their mouth shut and just said sorry and moved on. Yet everyone then wants Probstein to talk, but if whatever he said, they would have said you should have kept your mouth quiet and moved on. So
the hobby talks out of both sides of its mouth. That's for sure. MG, he tried to use a different platform and failed. Accurate statement. Chris C has a question. Any idea why isn't Shill being prosecuted? Not lawyers. Sorry, Chris. Justin Bode, good evening to you. Skeppy says there's a lot of YouTube card content creators going live more often. Seems they are chasing the SCL success. What sneak peek can you give us for SCL in 2026? Good question, Skeppy. First of all, I take that as a compliment that it seems like they're chasing the SCL live stream success. The only thing I can really tell you guys as far as 2026 is that obviously my book it went off to the editor last night. The editor is one of us, by the way, and he's started the editing process, and then it's going to go to interior design, and then it's going to go to publication. So I anticipate there being things to talk about that are based on what I put in the book. Again, it's the Word document is over 400 pages. It'll be shorter in book form, but I have a bigger font or whatever. And then there's my other project that I'm working on that is going to be ready to start testing next week. I know I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now, or since I announced it, but that's almost ready to go. And so some people are going to see it before others, and then you'll be able to go get on a waiting list on the main page to get access once it's public. So that project, I think, will feed some content topics, at least for Sports Cards Live and perhaps for other content creators as well. So look forward to that. I mean, I've got these two projects I've been working on all year, and looking forward to getting them out there. How about you, Joe? Anything you want to see next year here on the show, or anything you'd like to change up the way we're doing things? You're just good to go with the flow?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll think about that over the next few weeks. I guess I'm not quite thinking about 2026 just yet, but I probably should be. But I like how things are rolling, and I'm hoping, I've mentioned a few guests, and one I think you've secured for a week or two out that I'm excited to, have on, and I'm sure that there'll be other guests. Usually it's like the interesting people that you bring on, Jay Lee, along with our regulars, of course.
Yeah, of course. And with Thanksgiving and holidays approaching, I'm feeling like things are slowing down a bit in terms of the guest topics right now. Maybe it's just this week, who knows? We'll see. These things ebb and flow, but we'll have a good year next year. I'm pretty excited for 2026. Good evening, Rob. Good to see you. Patriot says, I have no issues bidding for cards with Probstein if the deals are to be had, but maybe not as eager to consign. Okay. MG says, and of course, eBay is taking him back. Wasn't he a top 25 seller on their platform? I would think at least. I would assume he was. MG for sure. Bob Boozle's got a bad taste in his mouth. Is that to do with bidding online, or you got something else going on at home tonight, Bob Boozle? Welcome to the show, Booze. Welcome to the show. Chris C says, a serial shiller. Nice jugs. Says the data leak was great advertising. I bet Probstein gets even more consignments now. Interesting angle. Like they say, no, all publicity is good publicity, sort of thing. Although I don't think that's necessarily the case in this space, but maybe in others it is. E105, I still have my auction win email notification and no follow-up communication from Snipe other than the press release, auction bids or contracts, but apparently not auction wins. Interesting. Yeah, that'll be fun to navigate there, E105. Sorry that happened to you and everybody else.
Yeah.
Larry says you pay enough for these cards without leaving a tip, but I like the concept. Well, I know, but what I'm saying is you're paying enough, Larry. It's already part of it, right? I'm not saying pay more. I'm saying it's already in there. It's a mental thing, right? I go to a restaurant, if the menu item says $20, I know I'm paying $25 with tip. You buy a card, you think it's worth $10, you're paying $12 with the essence of shill. You're welcome, Saba. Latrell Spreewell, Jeremy, where can we buy your book? Well, when it comes out, it'll be available on Amazon. Latrell Spreewell, thank you. Good evening, Pigeon Racing. The Loud Collector, Phil, says, do you use a razor or an electric head shaver for that beautiful melon of yours? Just went electric, never going back. I go electric, loud collector Phil. I go electric, buddy. 90s auctions, Cracker Jack boxes or 1920s star player candy packs. For what would you open if you could? Foul Ball's going 92 tops, high numbers. Hellren's taking pro set hockey. David G, is the whole shill drama coming out of the P. Ryan thing, or was there an additional real event that occurred? I believe it's all out of the P. Ryan thing and then his appearance on the Dr. Beckett podcast. I believe it all stems out of that one incident, the one P. Ryan incident, who I haven't seen anything from him on Instagram in a couple weeks now. So we'll see. Mookie Chilson, if this were the SCL 2025 awards show, what's the card of the year? Well, I mean, for me, it's the Joe Jackson. That goes without question. That might be the card of my collecting life. Never mind the year. Otherwise, like you talking about the best card to be produced in the year, because I can't really speak to that because I just don't have as much interest in. Those things don't stick in my mind.
I doubt Mookie's asking that, but he might be. I think he's more of a vintage guy, though.
Yeah.
Or just, in the hobby. I mean, you could certainly make the argument that the Jordan Kobe card that Mr. Wonderful picked up is a candidate in terms of, making headlines.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And in the Skeens, was the Skeens this year, the Skeens card and the.
Yeah, that was March. Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess there's a few interesting candidates. Your Joe Jackson card right up there for sure.
Obviously, yeah.
You could maybe mention the Babe Ruth that took such a precipitous drop. I think both those sales were this year, right? The what is it, 1917, 1919 Babe Ruth?
No, wasn't it the 1914 Baltimore News?
14, thank you.
I think so, yeah.
Baltimore.
Yeah, from like 7 million down to 4.
Right. I think you and Adam talked about that card at one point, didn't you? Or maybe, yeah.
I think so. 35 Auburn, Jeremy, was Snipe among the auction sites you researched? And if so, did you save a copy of the auction's terms and conditions? No, it wasn't. Because I don't even know if I went to Snipe while they're before they shut down, between opening to the public and closing. Up until then, I think it was just like a gated homepage or something when I did look at it before they even launched. And then by the time they launched, they went dark. So I didn't get them. 35 Auburn. No, I don't have any copy of those. I wish I could help you. I wish I did. That would have been cool for sure. Larry Gitlin wants to know who will consign with Probstein now. I mean, they're not going to stop. Not everybody follows this stuff too, right? So they will. Terry Brown says, why is everyone convinced that Probstein shill bid and this wasn't someone messing with him? Yeah, I mean, listen, there could be a plausible explanation. I think the chances of that seem to be pretty slim, but there could be a plausible explanation for that. MG said, I generally stayed away from Probstein before the switch anyway. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? That's a good question, Laura. I'm going to go with 6 miles an hour, but I really don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't even know what that means. Bob Oozle, SCL 3.0 coming soon. Jacob Dahl has another question. Is eBay Live the new breaking platform, and how long do you see it lasting? Ooh, that's a good. I mean, it's like eBay Live, Fanatics Live, and whatnot are the three main. And I guess TikTok is one, and maybe there's some other social platforms. But I mean, eBay seems to be putting a lot into it, and I see it lasting as long as any other one does, I would think. Joe, any thoughts on the? I mean, I've never gone into a one of these live shopping platforms and bought anything ever.
Me neither.
I just actually I've had the Whatnot app on my phone for years. I just the other day removed it from my screen because it was just taking up room, and I never go into it. So not really I think it's still a major part of the hobby, but not something that I use. It's not my chosen way to acquire cards.
Back to Mookie's question just for a second. Another card that went through my mind was the Messi Mega Cracks. And I was going to ask, have you ever had any inclination to own that card?
Inclination, yes. But then I look at it and it's kind of, to me, like I'm sorry guys who love it, but it kind of reminds me of like the Star Jordan. Just no, not Star Jordan, the Star cards. It just seems very, I don't know, weak. It doesn't seem like just seems cheap. It's not cheap. It seems cheaply made. It looks cheap. It just doesn't look good to me.
I know what you mean. I had a hankering for it a little bit before it popped off, and kind of kicked myself. But now it's I don't know if it's cratering, but it's definitely coming back down. And that might be an interesting case study for, what people are concerned has been going on with regards to market manipulation. Hoj might have some thoughts on that later in the show. Like what's happened with that Messi card,
Yeah. Up and down, just like all cards, they go up and they go down, then they go up and then they go down. Turner has a question. He says, if you had to sell your whole card collection and do a complete collection reset, what would be your ideal first card purchase? Oh gosh, that's man. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. I can't imagine starting over again. It's like, just can't imagine starting over. What would I buy first? I mean, 48/49 Leaf Jackie, maybe that would be my seed card. Yeah, maybe one of the 33 Gaudy Ruths. I keep coming back to Gaudy and Leaf with all these questions. I don't know. That's just where my head goes, Joe. How about you?
Literally the same two cards went through my mind: the Leaf Jackie, and then like maybe the yellow Ruth.
Yeah,
I know you like the full body, but I'm a fan.
I like the yellow too. Yeah, I like them all. I mean, yeah. Foul Ball. Hey, how is life going? He wants to know. That's hey, thanks, Foul Ball. How is life going? Life's going pretty good. No complaints over here. Just busy doing what I do. Family's good. Extended family's good. No, I don't think no family is immune to, tragedy, illness, all those things. So there's obviously, things happen in life that I think we all go through as people that come from families, whether you have parents or you don't anymore. I mean, hey, but thanks for asking. And I hope it's going well for you as well, Foul Ball, and everyone else out there. But I'm sure we all, it's what they say. You never know what someone's going through. So be kind. And that doesn't seem to apply to our hobby, though. People don't really care. They don't really care if you're going through something. They still will be unkind in many cases. But in many cases, let's be honest. The kindness outweighs the opposite of kindness by many levels, I would say. Piccolina, welcome and good to see you. Mike Double V, good to see you. Chris D says eBay is taking him back because of the money, of course. It's all the only thing they're in business to do is make money. That's the only thing eBay's in business to do is make money. That's it. Just like most businesses out there and most that are in the hobby. Bob Boozle. It's tough to get guests when everyone is getting canceled. That's true. But I'm with Foul Ball. We need to get Bob Boozle on the show. What are you going to say, Joe?
Comment of the night.
Midlife cards. What's the one realistic card you both hope to acquire in 2026? Jeremy can't say Leaf Musial because he already mentioned it. That is fair. That I have an answer. I'll go first, Joe, and then you go with a.
Please do. I need some time to think.
Take a second. For me, it is the 1975 Topps Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That is one that I would love to add in 2026 in the right, in the right holder and at the right price. That's the one that that's going to be at the top of my list. I've got a few others, but I'll stick with that one for now. You got one, Joe?
I mean, Curry is always on my mind. It's so hard to pick one card of his, and I'm not a huge fan of the flagship Topps. I'm going to go, for me, it's probably upgrading my 48 Leaf Jackie, out of the beater 1 grade into something maybe like a solid 2.5 or a 3, that's realistic, and that's been in my sights for a while. So if I could pull that off, I'd be pretty stoked.
Yeah. Okay. That'd be cool for sure. William says, want to ask you, Jeremy, being a true hockey collector, your thoughts on a run I just completed. Patrick Kane, 2012 Fleer Retro PMG Green, Blue, Red. Best American-born player? Yeah, I mean, tough to argue. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to get away from like Mike Modano as one of, if not the best American-born players. Best goal scorer, maybe Patrick Kane. I think he's a great goal scorer. He's also a good playmaker, though. But I think Modano is just a more complete player. But I'll put it to you this way. Patrick Kane, top 3, top 5 for sure. I mean, I think it's 6-1, half a dozen to the other when you're comparing some of these guys. But I'm definitely a fan of Patrick Kane, his hockey, the way he plays, and his career resume for sure. He's got like 2 cups, maybe 3. Yeah, he's great. Chris from Missouri says, with the stench of all the negative news in the hobby, what is it going to take to make a turnaround? That is like a great question from Chris from Missouri. I don't, because they're like, what is the opposite of shill bidding? What is the opposite of trimming? What is the opposite of upcharges? What is the opposite of delayed turnover times? What is the opposite of postal services stealing your cards? Whatever the opposite of all those things are, Chris from Missouri, that's what it will take. Honesty, transparency, integrity. But well, how do you apply that to a group of people? I mean, it's impossible, right? So what do you are you looking at a comment? I'm way behind on comments.
No, I was going to say, Jay Lee in 2026, you're making a good stump speech. But
that did sound a little political, hey?
Yeah, a little. But I guess I would just say, like, probably in-person shows where you connect with, good people and you have some good interactions and maybe have some successful trades where there is no middleman. You do direct deals. You land something. I mean, like, the good parts of the hobby is, I think, what it's going to take to, wash out the stench of, or clear the stench. But I don't know, like, not everybody gets to go to the, a national, and I know things go down in those places too that aren't always, copacetic. So anyway, I don't know. I'm hoping for more community, more direct connection, and more just of the good parts of the hobby.
Direct connection, Joe. I think you said it right there, in person. But doesn't really address. I'm with you. Doesn't really address Chris's question. It's like, it's so easy for the hobby narrative to take a downturn, to take an upturn. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. We've got Sean from Victory Investments raising money for charity. We've got people doing good things. We got lots of kids involved in the hobby these days. But the talking heads, we don't really get involved. And I say we because I'm one of them. So is Joe. That's not the stuff that gets the clicks. So you don't hear people talking about that as much. But those are things that do have a positive impact on the hobby, I would say. Anony says, what are your thoughts on the identity theft risk for Snipe customers, given the reports that their personal data may have been exposed in the Probstein database breach? What are my thoughts? That's horrible. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, they better be consulting with counsel if anything close to that happened, or they could have some massive repercussions, and primarily with the idea of letting people know if that indeed happened, which I think is the law.
Yeah.
So,
Glad they don't have my information is all I can say about that. I mean, yeah. Hoff signed. Rumors of the 2 new secret Sport Card Expo locations. I'm sorry, I do not. Baboozle, who are the members of the Sports Card Illuminati? We want names, Jeremy. I think we're going to start with Baboozle as member number 1 right there. Quick announcement, everybody. Rage has entered the building, everybody. Rage is in the building. Will there be an audio version of your book? Oh, that means I got to record it. Maybe, probably. We'll see. Bob Boozle, I want a Wayne Gretzky rookie card. Jeremy is mailing it to me ASAP. It's on its way. Skeppy, how in the world has it been this long without a 48-leaf Musial in your collection? What made this card bubble to the top? It bubbled to the top because of all the cards I picked up at the National this year, and looking at it more closely and realizing, because I always had the Bowman rookie. I still have his Bowman, and it's the black and white, as you well know, and I love the card. I've had it for 10 years, but the 48/49 leaf is just so beautiful. It's just, I just love it. I just want it now. That's it. Good evening, Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. A shout out to Dan, actually. I watched Hobby Hotline, not live. I watched it like 13 minutes after it aired this morning. Dan was hosting with Chris Carlin and Chris Stale Gumwax, Chris. And I meant to text you, Dan, actually, and say, well hosted. And yeah, you made a few comments where you looked right in the camera, talking about respecting the guests. And as you probably know, I've been in that exact position before. So that resonated with me, and I thought you did really well dealing with those things. So kudos to you, Dan. Check out Hobby Hotline on 4 Collectors, guys. What else we got here? Curmudgeon, good evening to you. Reef the Sea, eBay should have done live selling years ago. Now they're trying to catch up. Yeah. And in 10 years, we'll see where they are, right? That's the thing. Card Fuchsius, I bought some coins on eBay Live and observed for a while. There are absolutely shill bidders in lives as well. Good to know. I mean, buyer beware to that sort of thing for sure. Reef the Sea, are people dumping their cards since the Probstein snipe disaster? Not that I haven't heard anyone doing that. I mean, you'd be silly. You'd be silly to react to one instance, to one event in the hobby. That's probably the opposite of what you should be doing, I think. I'm not selling anything because of that. It never even crossed my mind. It almost seems ludicrous, like a ludicrous sort of a idea to me, but maybe I'm missing something. Joe, have you heard of people dumping cards because of that?
Nope.
Vintage card collector, do you think the National locking down hotels near the convention center will impact attendance at all? I don't know what you're talking about, Vintage. I don't even know what you're talking about. Sorry. You're saying no one can stay there? Like, they don't want people coming? Doesn't make sense to me. I just don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're getting at.
I think you might be getting at the whole idea of no trade, locking down in that sense. I don't know.
Oh, if that's, will impact. If that's, I don't think that's going to impact attendees. No, I don't think that'll have an impact
Maybe
either.
I'm not understanding. Yeah, I don't know.
But if that's what it is, Joe, I don't think that'll have an impact on attendees. I think people care a lot more about what's going on in the show than they do at the hotels after. I'm not saying the hotels after are no good. I mean, I love that too, but
yeah.
How do you guys like the new Topps basketball cards? I haven't seen them. Have you, Joe?
I've been checking them out slowly but surely. I found myself a little judgmental, I guess. I want to like them, and I've seen some that I like, but some of them I don't like. So it's a pretty vast set that I'm still kind of getting my own bearings on the various color subsets and different tributes. I think they have a 1981 version of a Topps looking card, that second year bird, I think it is. Anyway, but yeah, I guess a little early for me to pass judgment. Intriguing, but I'm not completely wowed.
Shillmore, I mean, Jim Sholey, Shillmore, I don't know where that came from. From the question, how soon until another happy Shillmore is discovered? I'll put the over under at 21 days. Mookie, if this were SCL, didn't we just do that question? So, hobby term of the year. What's the new hobby term of the year? Multiple choice. Flight collecting, own appeal, defensive shilling, something else.
That's a good one. I
mean, for me, I'm using, for me and how I'm hobbying, it's going to be flight collecting. Of course, I don't even know if I made that up or someone else made me think of it, but I like that for myself. I love the concept of own appeal. I think it has a ton of usage in the hobby, probably more than flight collecting does actually. And defensive shilling, it's shilling. There's no defensive shilling. There's something else there's another term that encompasses what is meant by defensive shilling, I believe. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. It's just shilling. It's just shilling. If you're bidding on your own item, you're shilling. That's it. If it's a card you own, you're shill bidding, as far as I'm concerned. Craig's Cards, any thoughts on Ken Griffey Jr. PSA 10 prices on fire lately? No, I do have thoughts on it. Here are my thoughts. What are they? $4,000 now? And what's a PSA 9? Like $300 maybe. I'm totally guessing. I don't know. $250, $300. So if those are the prices, and you're willing to pay an extra $3,700 to get a PSA 10 instead of a PSA 9, you're only spending money on the number printed on the label. You're not really, because in many cases those 9s and 10s are the exact same. So a bunch of the PSA 9s could easily be 10. A bunch of the PSA 9s will eventually become PSA 10s upon resubmission, and a bunch of the 10s used to be 9s. They're all the same, you guys. They're all the same. So yeah, piss away your $3,300 because you want that 10. But I say piss it away. The reality is there's enough people out there who will buy that from you as well. So you're maybe not pissing it away, but if you are collecting cards because you love them, why not save that $3,300? And basically, there are 9s that are better than 10s in technically speaking. That's just a fact. There are 9s that exist, PSA 9s that are stronger technically than some of the PSA 10s. The best 9s are going to be stronger than the worst 10s, but the variance is so small. It's so small that most of us couldn't even tell. Any thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. And one other way to maybe hear the question from Craig's Card 62 is, Griffey and or, in this case, a iconic GOAT. I'm not sure if he's referring to the 89 Upper Deck or just Griffey in general, but
89 Upper Deck.
But yeah, I hear it like, and this might be parallel to some of the stuff that happened, coming out of COVID, but I think people are, re-enchanted with goats again. Goats are sort of like, I would say, if we were going to look at some trends in 2025, I think goats had a little uptick along with the whole, market. And so that's kind of how I just read that comment, along with everything you said in terms of like, what are you really paying $3,700 for an indistinguishable difference?
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Bob Boozle, term of the year, Honey Bunny. That's one that's up there now. Dan says, who's the most awesome card collector in California, and why is it Joe Poirot? Because it is.
No,
although we got Greg from Midlife down there too. I mean,
Greg's doing just fine. He when I first met Greg, he was very prudent and shrewd and disciplined, and more I see him just rolling the dice. And I think it's great. I salute him being more bold in his moves, and occasionally he's consolidating, and then I think the rest is just coming out of the mortgage or something.
What's up, Cardboard Man 2.0? Welcome to the show. Situational adventures. If dealers are trying to sell vintage at or above now shield comps at show tables, are people still going to pay, or is it just the YouTube vintage card community that will refuse to pay that amount? I think it's the latter. I think people are going to continue to buy cards at card shows. There's no doubt about that. VTG, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck? If a woodchuck could chuck wood, I would answer that by saying all of the wood. Laura says, okay, forget Monty Python question. What's a good resolution to make a better outcome for the 2026 National Pizza on the Grass Party? I don't know. I don't know, Laura, but maybe we'll see you there. Bob Boozle, this is the only show that Dan's Vintage Baseball PC has not hosted yet. Watch your back. Very good. He says he's retiring from hosting after. What are you talking about, Dan? You killed it today. You killed it. Pop signed. Did Probstein really leave eBay? He never technically closed his account. I mean, listen, we talk about, if you want to really put on the tinfoil cap, like I was trying to think like, what happened here? What happened here? Because I heard someone say before what hit the fan, I heard someone say, I forget who it was, but they were making comment about how the advertisements were made with AI. Probstein's commercials that he had or whatever videos he had out there were made with AI. And I thought to myself, well, I mean, like, is that bad if he did? Like, isn't that what people are doing now? I see tons of AI videos all over the place. Should he have hired an advertising firm and paid them tens of thousands to do it? Or could he just, get one of his kids to do that? I don't know. So I was thinking about that was my thought. And then I thought to myself, well, wait a second. If this is really supposed to be a big up and coming platform to compete with eBay, you'd probably do it right from the beginning. Now we've been proven it was not done right. Crappy commercials, crappy security, crappy tech. Whoever is obviously the tech, the developers, and I don't know who they were, but they did a crap job for him. And maybe he has a case against whoever he hired to develop that software. What I'm getting at is that he obviously didn't invest or at least do his due diligence properly in all of the services that he had to engage for this project of his being Snipe, which then made me think in my head as I'm, tinfoil hat going down the rabbit hole. Joe, I started thinking to myself, and listen, this is not an accusation. This is just a plausible explanation, which was maybe this whole thing was a data play. Maybe it was all about getting people's data and selling it on the black market or something crazy like that. Like maybe that's what it was. Maybe he is that shady that he was doing something. Maybe the plan from the beginning was for this thing to fail. But I mean, he had a big elaborate booth at the National back when the company was still called Bid. He changed the name from Bid to Snipe. He couldn't use the word bid. Someone else in Asia had like the trademark on the word bid, BYD, I think. So he changed it to Snipe. But anyway, yeah, maybe Snipe was just a cover for something else that we don't even know what it might have been. But that went through my mind. So who knows? Who knows, really? Good evening, Professor. Bob Boozle, the power of friendship will turn the hobby around. Take my hand. Saba says, Jeremy, if you want, you can make a clip showing your top 20 cards or top 10 cards of your collection. Most of us haven't seen it. Actually, if like I didn't know what we were going to do on tonight's show, Joe. And I had the thought earlier today after, I'm not going to do it, but I still haven't gone through my whole Joe Jackson maneuver and shown people all the cards I gave up and what how I did on that, like I still plan to do something like that. Dan says, if I ever host again, Bob Boozle will be the only person allowed to chat. See, Dan, the problem was I couldn't see the chat because the For Collectors channel never toggles on, allow the live chat to be seen later. It's only visible while you're live on the For Collectors channel. I think Hobby Hotline has that ticked off so you can see it there, and I don't think they released it yet. So I couldn't see the chat, Dan, but I could tell from you talking about it that there was stuff going on in it. And I wanted to see what it was, but I couldn't see it because it's in it. I forget what page it's on, but anyway, you guys should start checking that box. It'll help people. I think it'll make watching in syndication a little bit more engaging. D74 says the opposite of all that is regulation. Well, no, it's not. That's not the opposite. I know what you're saying, D74. The opposite isn't regulation, though, because even people don't follow regulations. So now it's called breaking the law. People break the law. There's regulations against murdering somebody. There's regulations against driving through a red light. People do it all the time. So I hear what you're saying, and I think you're probably going in the direction that would need to be, but it's more than regulation. But I do hear what you are saying there. All right. Hey, what's up, Colin? Hockey Card Exchange. Good to see you. Good to see you, buddy. Orlando says lots of good stuff happening in the hobby, but drama gets the clicks. It certainly does. It certainly does. Diamond Relics, I hope to acquire, or should I say obtain, some cardboard beauties with terrific eye appeal or terrific my appeal. Absolutely. Laura says, Dan, you did a great job on Hobby Hotline. Dan appreciates it. Foul Ball says, Dan is a rude host. I watched it, Foul Ball. I watched the whole thing. I didn't find him rude this morning at all. I don't know what I might have missed, though. Chris C, there needs to be a harsh penalty for shill bidding. It is fraud. Absolutely. D Nug says Slab Sharks, who I'm affiliated. I'm a rep for Slab Sharks, says Slab Sharks is huge for shillings. Well, D Nugs, I can't speak to that. I know that whenever I bring on items, I look people right in the eye and I say, don't bid on your cards. Do not bid on your cards. What else can we do? The only other option for that is sell everything on eBay by yourself, or don't buy from the consignment. Don't buy from the consignor companies like Slab Sharks. You have that right not to buy from Slab Sharks. Absolutely. Zach Swisher, come on, Joe. You have all the Golden Warrior mirror variations already, do you?
No, I don't. I've got a few, but I certainly don't. Here's my Draymond golden mirror gold. It's not numbered to 10, a rare PSA 10 for me, just because that's how I found it. But I'm not sure if he's referring to that totally certified set. But I happen to have it.
Nice card. Nice card. Swisher says consolidation is the term of the year. Bobby Burrell, your collecting habits really shouldn't change. All of these issues have been in the hobby for decades. Proceed under the auspice of hobby news. And as always, caveat emptor. Yeah, exactly right. I agree with that completely. There's so many things that we could let ruin our hobby experience. There are so many things that we could let chase us out of the hobby. Or just like anything in life, if you don't want to ever have a chance of, dying, don't leave your house. Stay inside all the time. And maybe some of you do, because, that's how you live. If you don't want to be impacted by the negative things in the hobby, get out of the hobby, or just keep what you have. Don't buy, don't sell. Those are really your only options. It's unfortunate, but I think that's just the truth. There aren't really any other options. Another compliment, Phil Necro. Dan did a great job hosting Hobby Hotline this morning. Orlando agrees. Consolidation is the term. Preach, Mr. Burrell, says Laura. BWS says, I love money. Ding Corner, Zach is correct. The great consolidation of 2025 will likely continue into 2026. Diamond Relics, I was told there would be more lawyers.
That's later.
Sundin says, I had SGC 6, 7, 8, 9 rookie cards of various players from the 80s, and I had trouble telling them apart. There you go. There you go. Timepiece Esquire, thank you for the $1.99 tip. Says Morgan Geeky has 19 goals. Show off your geekies. I had him last year in my fantasy Yahoo draft. I picked him up towards the end of the year, and he was killing it. And I didn't take him this year, and now I regret that. Reef the Sea. I saw Shaq prices ticking up finally. I've been hearing that myself. Found treasures. What is up to you? Here, Jim S. says the Griffey Jr. PSA 10s are a bunch of sheep chasing a goat. Well said. That is absolutely well said. Sheep chasing a goat.
That's good.
Nailed it. He nailed it right there. Absolutely. I saw a dealer with 100 PSA Griffies. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it goes. Geeky has 20 goals now. Mookie Chilson to Jeremy and Joe. Did your PC expand or shrink this year? Do you expect it will expand or shrink next year? Mine shrunk in terms of card quantity because I did a 330 for one trade. So that's a shrink. And I don't know how many I shouldn't say, I say I don't know how many cards I added, but I did build a folder of my 2025 pickups so I could start to, do my top 25 at 25 kind of thing. But Joe, how about you? Once you answer, we'll bring Leighton on the screen with us and get him, let him become a part of this Q&A, rapid fire.
Yeah, it shrank a little, not massively, but I think I told you I took some cards down to Burbank and got cashed out pretty nicely down there with Ryan, and then I'm selling on Fanatics and eBay, so I definitely sold off, but not massively, just clearing out the shelves a little bit.
Yeah. It's all part of the evolution of our PCs, right? They don't need to be fixed or anything. So yeah, collect as you want. Let's bring Leighton on. You get to go, bud? All right. Welcome, Leighton. Welcome, Leighton, back. How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Doing
Doing
good.
well. Good to see you, Leighton.
Good to see you,
Guys,
Joe.
check out the Vintage Spotlight YouTube channel where Leighton and I dropped our latest episode 13 of the Vintage Spotlight podcast. Just dropped here on, I believe, yesterday, as recent as yesterday. So check that out. Pretty cool discovery Leighton made. Leighton, you've been in the back for a couple minutes. Any thoughts on anything you've heard so far? We've had lots of discussion, lots of fun talk here so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely rapid fire. I did come with a topic for today.
Oh, yeah, what is it?
I don't know if it's going to resonate with some, but for me, it does. So I figured I would run it by you guys.
All right.
So as I'm bidding in, and this is not to discuss auctions, but as I'm bidding in multiple auctions this evening, it got me thinking, and I realized that if you're not a memorabilia and card collector, this may not apply to you. But for me, I collect both, and I deal in both as well. So I was curious, whether it be it's vintage or modern, is there a point as a card collector within your budget, and to be fair, let's say your budget hits that top end, that you decide to start looking at the memorabilia of that player instead of that card? That's it. That's my question.
Let's see. I mean, no. My answer is it's just an easy no, Leighton, for me. Like,
Okay.
yeah, but I have to add a caveat to that, which is that I did buy a piece of memorabilia a couple months ago, and I have it here now. I'm just waiting for my display case to land that I ordered while I was at the Toronto Expo, a pair of game used gloves. And I'm not listen, I've said it a million times. I'm not a memorabilia collector. I'm a card collector. But maybe to be a bit more specific, I'm not a jersey collector. I have like no interest in owning jerseys, and nothing against them. They're awesome. If I had a big enough house with a bunch of wall space, I'd happily put jerseys up on that wall space, in cabinets or frames or whatever. But I don't. So game used gloves, I'm gonna have 2 pairs up on one of my shelves and a nice display holder. I think they're cool conversation pieces. I kind of think it's cooler than a jersey, personally. I mean, anyone can get a jersey, but game used hockey gloves, or I don't know, game used football helmet, I mean, that's cool stuff. But jerseys sit nice against the wall. So, but typically speaking, 99.99% of the time, Leighton, I'm just happy with cards. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, mostly just cards. I mean, I do find it interesting when I notice the price points, and you start to kind of like factor in whether, what you're holding versus what you could hold for similar value. But I'm too enamored both with the art of cards as well as like their how small they are and easy they are to store is a big part of it. If anything, I'll open up if I'm feeling like I'm a little, disenchanted with certain things. I might like just go to a couple more sporting events and or get a little swag myself to wear, not that was worn by, Jackie Robinson or anything.
What do you think, Leighton? You fall on it? Is there anything that kind of, what was the catalyst for the question? Was there something that came up personally?
Yes.
Or somebody?
Yes.
What came up? What came up?
Sure. So to be clear, I wanted to define memorabilia as really anything other than a card. So Jeremy, you harped on a jersey, but I don't really mean just a jersey. It could mean an autographed photo. It could mean some sort of lithograph. It could mean game used gloves, a game used bat. I really mean anything other than a card, but affiliated or related to that player.
Yeah.
And so the reason I bring it up is because not just, it happens to me more on the modern. Like, in other words, if I'm looking at a Jordan item or a Kobe item, because I collect both those guys, or Larry Bird, and I notice a card And to be fair, it's more, I guess, like in the modern arena than vintage, but it has been happening to me more in vintage. And so if I look at a card, I'm like, whatever that budget is, $3,000, $1,000, $10,000, whatever the budget is for that card, I tend to at least do like a second, I guess, look, because not just as a collector, but I've been doing this for a long time. So as an experienced dealer, I just know, I guess this is maybe where I'm coming from. Cars have gone up a lot, like a lot in the last, whatever duration you want to choose. You want to choose a year, 5 or 10. And I do happen to also enjoy the memorabilia side, but I think more specifically, things that are either important to me from my childhood that bring me nostalgia and joy, but also I do enjoy the historical significance. I don't just mean of game used, like Jackie Robinson. If you own a signature of him, is that not historically significant just because it wasn't game used? And so I guess what I'm getting to is, for example, like a 1950 Bowman Jackie. If you want to buy one for your collection, Jeremy, in a 3, it'll probably cost about.
It's exactly what I did. I did that in the National. I bought one for my collection in a 3.
And I love that card. And in a 3, it's probably like, call it a few $1,000. But if you decide that a 3 is not enough for you, and I'm just making it up, you want, let's just say, a 6 or above, you might be looking at, give or take, $8,000 to $10,000. And I'm not saying that I don't want that card in that grade, but I think what I'm doing right now, at least, is I'm taking a second glance at what my purchasing power for that just particular card and that particular player might get me of that player. And in some cases, I'm finding, and I realize for you, Jeremy, and Joe, for you as well, it may not apply. But for some of the people who are watching, it might. And I was curious if it resonates with anyone else, because I feel, for me, more so as a collector than the dealer, as the prices continue to go up, I'd like to feel good about my purchase. Not really on the investment side, more of like, am I happy? And so I do enjoy exploring memorabilia, especially as cards have got more expensive.
Yeah, I can see people going in that direction. For me, it doesn't really enter the discussion. I autograph 8x10s. I just have zero interest. I just collect cards. That's really what it comes down to for me. It's not like I have anything against these other things. I'm all consumed by cards. I don't have the capacity for much more besides 2 pairs of game used gloves. But lots of comments from the chat. Leighton, first of all, Peacemaker says hello to you. Hey. Orlando, congrats on the Red Cross cards discovery.
What's up, bud?
For memorabilia, I'm a 1 piece per player kind of guy. Makes sense. Midlife, why not both? Mem and cards. I have an answer to that, Greg. Budget is why not both for me.
Well, we can start a GoFundMe tonight, boys. We can, for those that can't have both. We can now have both. Yeah. Why not in America or in Canada?
Take that money and spend it on cards anyway, so don't do it for me. Ding Corners, I was just talking to Hoj about this. If I can get a great game-worn jersey, it can scratch the itch if I don't also have a great card. Not me, not even close for me. Puck Junk says, I think a lot of people who like really old players like Babe Ruth, etc., would collect old programs because they have photos of that player and other players from the era. Yeah, I've got a stack of programs. I had a stack of programs. I actually sold them at the Edmonton Expo because I'm like, I got to clear this stuff out. I don't want it. I want cards, but definitely, listen, I could have named this channel Sports Memorabilia Live, but we call the Sports Cards Live. So, but Ding Corners bought a few Joakim Noah jerseys when I couldn't find a great card I liked. Card Fuchsia says vintage memorabilia before players wore multiple jerseys a game to create memorabilia. That's definitely a good point. Kyle Colalilo says, from a space standpoint, I wouldn't have the ability to store memorabilia properly. I have a huge 5-foot bat with Derek Jeter's auto, and it sits behind a desk, all 20 pounds of it. I had game used hockey sticks, Leighton. They sat in my furnace room or my crawl space for 15 years. I just sold them this year because they sat in my furnace room or crawl space for 15 years. Took the money, bought a card and a pair of game used gloves that are not going to sit in my basement or my crawl space. And Laura says memorabilia, it's hard to fit in a penny saver. It's hard to fit in a penny. That's my favorite answer so far. Good evening, 90s hockey collector. When it comes to autographs, I can't believe how much less balls and pucks go for than cards. Yeah, Yeah, fair enough. Jeff McMahon, other than Solani, what are the other pair of gloves? Matt's Sundin is my other pair of game used gloves. Jeff McMahon. Yes, sir. Leighton bought the Jordan house. Was that you, Leighton? Was that you?
Yeah, that'd be great. That's where I'm going to relocate when Crosby becomes 18. Absolutely.
Right. There you go. Okay. Well, it's a fun topic, Leighton. I think it's definitely got merit. I mean, it's valid to talk about. Absolutely. And I know my answer is I'm probably in the minority. I think a lot of people that collect cards like to collect other things. I've never waited in line to get a player's autograph at a card show. It just doesn't interest me to do that. So I'm just all about cards personally. Yeah. Do you have another topic, Leighton? That one was so good.
I mean, I'm sure I can come up with them on the fly, but to be honest, I'm like bidding. Well, the one auction I know will still be running. Love of the Game will still be running when I sign off. But a few of the heritage lots I have a feeling will end. And I know with all this discussion of auctions, maybe I'll just address it. So for me, listen, I feel a little more strange this evening than I have felt in the past. But I would say my strategy is not changing, meaning I bid what I think I can pay. I did think about, I was a big Wizard of Oz fan growing up, especially as a young kid. And to think about, the man behind the curtain, is there someone monitoring? I don't know. I'm just not thinking about it, I guess. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. It's just what's happening for me. But I'm not bidding with the same fervor I probably would have, let's say, 30 or 60 days ago. But to be fair, that also could be a function of just what's in the auction, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And what the prices are, but prices seem to be healthy, whether it be cards or memorabilia, and hopefully I'll get a couple things.
Yeah, well, good luck. It's always fun going shopping, that's for sure. Mook, Joe, anything before I run through a bunch of comments from the crowd?
Nope.
You're good.
Good.
Mookie Chilson says, I collect Jackie Robinson scorecards from 1947. I would love his Leaf or Bond Bread rookie cards, but the scorecards are affordable. Fair, yeah.
Love that, Mookie. I think that's great.
Yeah, that's
kind of what I'm talking about. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Jeremy, but kudos to Mookie. That's really what I was about to get into for vintage, because I'm sure if Mookie had unlimited funds, or we could start a GoFundMe for Mookie tonight, maybe we could help elevate his collection. But that aside, being a little bit more realistic, I really appreciate that, because he's saying hey, I can afford them. They're historically important, not just to Mookie, but to also the world at large, if you will. And it's just kind of fun that he found a lane that he enjoys. But I also see your point, Jeremy. You're like, listen, I am cards only. But for me, Jeremy, I think it's helped with my problems in that I can't just only buy and sell cards for a living and then only collect cards. It's already hard as it is.
sure.
So the memorabilia gives me a little bit of an out.
Yeah, it's kind of like where all the sports card LCS has gotten to Pokemon because it makes them money, right? It's something. It's another revenue stream. It's not because they like the product. I'm not saying you don't like that, but I'm just saying, yeah, you're silly not to. So, Orlando said, I'm mostly cards, but last year picked up a Walter Johnson signed photo I had to have. Came from his personal collection. That's pretty cool right there. Diamond Relics, vintage advertising pieces are fun. I love type 1s, but man, are they getting pricey. So not everything stays cheap. Mookie, I have a nice Jackie Auto. Got it for a fraction of the cost of a 48-49 Leaf. Absolutely. 35 Auburn, says absolutely. Memorabilia is a great way to expand upon a player collection, especially when you can't find any new cards to acquire. Fair. I mean, not for me, but fair. Midlife. Greg, I have a question for Leighton and Jay Lee. How do we get Joe Poirot to Strongsville so we can all have a drink in the bar together?
I'm really looking forward to that show.
You know what? Yeah, same here. But Greg, I think the Leighton, Jeremy, Greg committee are going to task you, Greg, with that to actually execute, because you're closer. You're literally in the same state. So go get him and bring him to Strongsville. Leighton and I, we can come up with a plan all together. We'll collaborate with you. But I think you're going to be.
I didn't know you were committed to Strongsville. Are you definitely?
I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to
go. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Leighton will be there.
I'll definitely be there. And Joe, I can certainly message you off air, but I want to make sure you know we have enough mileage at Just Collect. I am happily utilize some of that mileage for you, bud, and have you show up in Ohio next year.
Woohoo!
That's pretty sweet offer. How are you at talking to bosses? Could you give my boss a little?
I can try like impersonations and say I'm your doctor.
Yeah,
and let them know it's mandatory that you be out, but there might be some legal ramifications with that.
Actually, I think that could work quite well. You have a good doctor's voice.
Yeah, he does. Wade Boggs fan says, as a Wade Boggs super collector, never mind to see a Wade Boggs super collector, guys, but at the National this year in August, I'm sitting at Gibson's having dinner on Saturday night. I look to my left. There's Wade Boggs fan having dinner with Wade Boggs. So not just with his Wade Boggs memorabilia, not with his Wade Boggs cards. He was literally sitting at a 4-person table having dinner with Wade Boggs himself. So, and that's kind of where I come from too. I've got to interview a whole bunch of hockey players in the last couple of years, and it's never even crossed my mind to ask them for an autograph after the interview's over. I just grab my phone. I say, hey, can I get a quick selfie? And I put my arm up and I take a picture of me and the player. And that's commemorates the experience with them. Like even growing up, I never was an autograph chaser. You'd get the odd one from a family member or whatever, but I was never a big autograph chaser. Always been into cards though. That's probably just who I am in the hobby. Jeff McMahon, my PC is 90% cards. I have a game-used Eiserman stick from his rookie year that I cherish over any of his cards that I own. That's a pretty cool piece, especially if you have it on display, right? Like Leighton, when you're dealing in memorabilia, if you sell a piece or you buy a piece, like are you buying them out of displays? Are you selling them to customers who are putting them up on the walls, framing them to enjoy them? Do you even keep track of that? Like, do you even know?
So you're asking what happens when I sell the memorabilia?
Sure. Like, are these pieces just?
Jeremy, this is why I'm telling you I have many problems. I don't really sell any memorabilia.
Okay.
I buy memorabilia. I've sold 2 photos in the last 20 years, meaning wired photos. I'm upset about both of them. And I just generally don't sell memorabilia. I collect it.
Yeah. Well, I love that. You're collecting. That's great. I like standardization. Cards are just so standard in size, for the most part. And I do have I have a no oversized card. If it doesn't fit in a standard slab, I kind of don't collect it. I just want my cards to be all 2.5 by 3.5. 52 top size or smaller, I'm good with, but just the way I'm rolling, I guess.
I hope you find some sort of like tall boy hockey, what is it, 64 or 65? Like some sort of like high grade find, and you text me, you're like, Late, I just found 1,600 cards. They're really nice. I don't do tall boys, bud, so you can have them. Okay.
Yeah.
You got it, bud. Anytime you don't want those, that Drek, you can send it to me.
Correct, yeah. I had the 64 Gordie Howe, and I had the Joe Namath rookie, and I had the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rookie, and I got rid of all of them because they were too big for my collection, which brings me to a comment by MG who says, do you guys have any sticker autos in your PC? I do not. I have a no sticker auto policy. Now I reserve the right.
Oh, it's funny. I was thinking about 86 Fear stickers. You mean a sticker that's placed on the card?
A sticker auto.
Okay.
Yeah. No stickers. That's a whole different thing from this question, but yeah, I have the no sticker auto policy, but again, I reserve the right to make an exception if I so decide to. I can do that. I'm the CEO of my PC. I think Joe is showing us a sticker auto right now. Is that right, Joe? Is that your one and only sticker auto, or do you have a few?
It's one of a few, but it's really hard to get Ronaldo and Messi autos if it's not stickers. So this is a sticker auto. I think it's got a 9.9 on it, so 9 for the auto, because of course it goes off the damn sticker. But unless you want to pay upwards of $10K, good luck getting a Ronaldo, or I guess Messi's come down now because he started doing some on card with what was it, Topps or Panini recently. But anyway, yeah, I got a few. Sometimes they look all right. I don't know. I'm that weird person that if I like the card and it's a sticker auto, I might actually grab it.
Fair. What about you, Leighton? I mean, you're a vintage guy, so sticker autos are kind of It's a modern.
Yeah,
it's a
I
modern
don't think I
thing.
really have sticker autos in my collection. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that's really a thing.
It's all right. We
No.
can still be friends, Leighton. We can
Well,
still.
Leighton, have you
Well-
seen what a couple guys have done lately? Leighton, is they're taking like a Michael Jordan card with a sticker auto.
It
take the
makes me
sticker off,
it hurts me. I hate it. I don't like it.
putting it on an 86 Fleer.
I don't like any of it.
Talk
It's not
about
for
ruining a
me.
card.
But I did want to ask a question about autographs and cards, because I don't want to talk about memorabilia and get you off track, Jeremy. So I'm curious, because you guys are collecting the autograph cards, and I do collect autograph cards as well. So you mentioned your 9-9, you said Ronaldo, right, Joe?
Mhm.
So, like, are you satisfied with that, or is the PSA marketing machine got you to where you feel like you want a 10 auto or kind of bust? And unless the 10 auto is super duper expensive, in which case you'll obviously buy a lower one. Have you kind of like, is that where your mind is? And obviously same for you, Jeremy. I'm kind of curious.
That's a really good question, and it does actually really depend on the card. With a lot of, like, say, ultra modern basketball that is on card, it will mess with my mind to get anything lower than a 10, or to get something graded and stamped a 9. And usually, not always, but usually, the reason why. You can sort of see a break, or maybe a little bubbling, or something going on with the integrity of the auto. With the card I just showed, the sticker, it's really hard for Ronaldo in particular to stay on a sticker. He's just got really wavy lines, and his C's or his R's or whatever. So in that case, like, I don't really think too much about it. I just I look. There's still qualities to the auto, and it's a 9 because it's going off the sticker. So, or in some cases, like Messi will do that last final line, and other players too. Even Steph in some of his early sticker autos will have the top of the C or the bottom of his final stroke kind of off the card, just off the sticker just a little bit. But yeah, it worries me much more. Actually, the thing with the sticker is, like, I've already accepted the sticker, so I'm not too worried about it. But with other types of autos, because I've been looking for a Jordan auto for a while, like an on-card Jordan auto. And a lot of the ones that come up have issues, and whether or not they're marked by PSA or not, those, some of those upper deck and or exquisite ones can have just like fading, or things happen to it. So I am picky, but not so much when it comes to the stickers, ironically.
Leighton, I got to ask you to rephrase the question for me, and then I can take a stab at it.
Oh, sure. So I guess when it comes to collecting your on-card, or I know you don't collect sticker autographs. So when it comes to your on-card autos for your collection, Jeremy, do you feel like you need 10s on the autographs, or are you okay with collecting either just authentic or a 9 auto or an 8 auto for that matter?
Honestly, I don't think I have a single auto that has a grade. I don't believe in grading autographs. I think it's silly, and I just think it's I think it's just a way for. It's just another way to give the grading companies more power over what people spend on cards. It's a great, and it's not even like I would call it a cash grab, but not by the grading companies. Sure, they're charging for it. I think they are. But I think it's more of like a cash grab for the owners of the cards. Oh, I got a PSA 10 Tiger Woods SP Authentic rookie card at a 900 or whatever it is. The auto looks great. I'm going to send it back, get another 10 on there, and now the card's going to go for another extra $5,000. So it's just a great way. It's a cash grab for people who have the cards, I think, which is fine. I mean, hey, the world revolves around money, and the hobby does too in many cases. So it's hard for me. I'm not saying it's bad, but for me as a collector, I would not pay an extra dime for a graded autograph. I would actually stay away from the 10-10 because I know I'm just paying extra for an autograph when I can get that exact same autographed card in the same graded slab for a lower price if the autograph is not graded. All that said, when I'm buying autographs, Leighton, they have to be perfect. I don't want any autograph So I don't care I don't care about a PSA grading my autograph or BGS grading my autograph. I just don't care, but people do. And for me, for all my auto patches, Leighton, I want those autographs have to be as close to perfect as possible. Like bright blue ink, any bit of baking in the sun, any fadedness, I just want nothing to do with it. They are not welcome in my collection at all. I just don't, I would never buy them. So yeah. Joe, what are you thinking?
Oh, I agree. I mean, the thought that went through my mind, and I wondered if this was where Leighton was coming from, is you said you might go out and get the same card, but if we're talking an IP, we're talking back to a 50 Bowman Jackie that's been autoed or something, you may not be able to find that. And, I think in vintage realms, looking at the only real experience I have is, I've collected on-card Maze autos, and I don't always agree with PSA, but I do feel like they give some degree of an objective assessment of the quality of the auto. And in those in-person ones, I think that might be where I differ, unless maybe you agree with that. And we're talking about modern cards. I don't know.
Well, before I let you come back, Leighton, I want to just take the other direction that I omitted in my original response, which was on-card autos of vintage cards, deceased Hall of Famers, that kind of thing. In that case, it's not for me, and I don't collect those, but I know guys that do. Tony Southern Collector is showing his collection all the time. He's got wonderful autographed vintage cards, and in that case, I don't think that the quality of the autograph matters. The quality of the autograph matters, but that's where own appeal comes into play, right? You just want to own it. Like the player touched the card. That's what's meaningful. Slim pickings anyway for most of these guys. So in that case, if I collected those, I would probably take the Tony approach and just like whatever, as long as it's not, totally ugly, I would probably buy the card, but I don't collect those. I don't plan to ever start. So I'm in the clear, and they're also very expensive. So, I just stick with what I love, but yeah, that's the third way to talk about them, or that's the third sort of dimension of it, I suppose. So your thoughts on those answers, Leighton, or response, anything?
Sure. First thing is, I kind of agree with Joe in this sense. PSA you may not be able to tell all the time between the autographs, but at least on vintage for me, I can sometimes see why an autograph did not get a 10. And I'm also similar to you, Jeremy, in that I don't really care, because as long as I like the card and the autograph, more so on the vintage side, I'll acquire it. But I did want to bring up, because obviously this happens with our cards, which, a third-party grading company applies the grade. We're talking about buying the card, not the grade. Well, I would tell you, as bidding and hopefully it's over, so that way, we're not outing an auction, but it's not a big card anyway. It's a 66 Topps Sandy Koufax signed card. And, I do collect some of those Sandy Koufax signed vintage cards. And what I noticed at first was like, oh, it's got a PSA 10 auto. And I'm thinking, oh, that's cool. Like, it's going to probably be a good auto. And then I look, it kind of reminded me of those 86 Fleer, those infamous ones that were signed in that private signing, those 6 cards, I guess. Because even though they got 10s from PSA, I think a lot of us collectors would agree that blue Sharpie did not appear as clear as we would have liked, right, on the Fleer cards as they came out. And so this Koufax card, the autograph was graded a 10. And I'm like, maybe the autograph is a 10. But to me, it's not a 10 in the sense I can't really read it that well against the background. And so I don't know that it's a money grab, Jeremy, more so like for the people that own the cards. I just think that's the way the hobby's evolved. PSA recognized it was a service that they could provide a service for. Make no mistake, PSA is not losing money authenticating autographs. And you are right. People like all of us that have ungraded cards that we think we can sell them for more if we get them graded, I don't think it's much different on the autograph side. But
yeah, I just want to jump in and clarify one thing.
Yeah, sure.
Because you're right. When I was the money grab, what was going on in my head when I said that wasn't vintage autograph cards. It was pack pulled ultra modern or, you know,
Oh, you get like a
modern,
10-10 thingy or whatever.
yeah,
Sure.
like a future watch Sidney Crosby from SP Authentic or the Tiger Woods. I was thinking about pack pulled autographed cards where, yeah, I mean, where in that case, the 10-10, the funniest thing too is that it's like all of a sudden there's a new population report that applies, right? It's a whole different population when it's a 10-10 versus just a 10 on the card. So now you go from a card that has a pop 10 of 100, but a pop 10-10 of 3. Pop 3 now, you know? Meanwhile, those other 97 cards, 90 of them will be 10-10s too if people spend the money and get them graded. So my cash grab comment was on the sellers of those cards. And listen, not all of them. I mean, some people just want to keep them. Some people just really love grades. They just want everything graded. You know, they want to get the pizza they just made graded too. Send that off to PSA. Maybe you'll get a 10 on your pizza. I mean, they just want everything graded. So that's kind of where I was coming at. But when it comes to vintage, I can see a better argument for that because there's such variation. Ballpoint, you know, whatever the calligraphy pen is called, all these different, you know, pencils, like all these different printing tools that were used, and writing tools, whatever. I can see a better argument for me where grading the autograph, I'm not saying necessarily third-party professional grading, but like just even an opinion on the autograph becomes much more important because you want to enjoy it, and it's a lot older, so there's going to be a lot more variation. And back nowadays, the card companies, they test card surfaces with different types of writing utensils to make sure that the cards stick well. Back then, you just grabbed whatever you could and got someone to sign these things, you know, in most cases, I'm imagining. So, yeah. The end of my thoughts on that. Any follow-up? Because I sort of cut you off late, and I apologize.
Oh, it's okay. It's just kind of interesting. I was going through some of my 86 Fleer basketball signed singles because I've been working on a set for like 10 years. No, I don't have the Jordan yet. And it's crazy what's happened to that market, Joe. People are now grading the card. They're grading the autograph. And like looking at this, I'm really just happy to have a presentable card with a presentable autograph. But I can also understand, just like with our cards, right? The grading companies have done a good job of marketing. They want you to have the best grade. So now someone wants the best grade on a Lewis Orr who passed away in 2022. I was shocked. I had a few dupes of him. Jeremy, the card's going for hundreds of dollars. Meanwhile, there's rookie Hall of Famers you can have for less because the demand's out of control for signed 86 Fleer basketball. It's just throwing my head for a tizzy. And I think sometimes it just goes to show you really have to collect what you like. You can't focus on what everyone else, and when I say everyone, whether it be it's the third-party grading companies, the authentication companies, whether it be it's IG or eBay because there's a new trend. Man, when you can find that lane or those lanes where you're enjoying, like Mookie was saying, it sounds like he doesn't care. It's like he can't buy the Jackie Robinson 48 Leaf, at least now. Great. He's picking off these wonderful pieces of history for, things that are in his budget. And, he's able to be happy about that. I think that's cool.
That's absolutely cool. Yeah. Collect what you like. That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. But then I've seen someone say, but you like what other people like, or how do you know what you like unless you see what other people like? And well, that's okay too. Doesn't matter how you find out what you like what you like what you like. Okay, let's run through some comments and we'll bring Chris Hoge on screen. Dan's Vintage says Strongsville is a weekend, Joe. You only need to take off Friday. And what I say to Joe, guys, is that, something tragic happens to you. They're replacing you the next day. Like I say that generally speaking, Joe. I have a bit more insight into your situation, so maybe that wouldn't be the case. But you gotta live for you too. You need to. This is not a want, a desire. You need to come to Strongsville for the community and for you, Joe. I saw Greg also. Greg's also pitching in $100. I don't know if Joe needs a GoFundMe, guys. I don't think Joe needs a GoFundMe, but I think it's about getting time away from work, and he's got a big job. He's got a job with a lot of responsibility. So I'm worried we might be having our gala that weekend. If it's I don't know if
throw the exact dates in there, but I'm somewhat responsible for planning our annual fundraiser. So
Put the dates in, somebody. It's April 12th, 13th, something like that, I think.
yeah, I think, okay. Well, anyway.
Colin says Strongsville's the same weekend as the Masters. It's a coin flip. Bob Boozle, Bob Boozle says, I'm preparing a hostile takeover of Jeremy's PC. Sorry, Jeremy, ousting you as CEO is strictly business. Well, you don't have a vote, Bob Boozle. You need a vote to be able to oust the CEO. MF. So to follow up, sticker auto from pack, pulled card, or in-person auto on a card. Sorry, I don't know what that follow-up is. I'm sorry, MG. Chris C. Sticker autos are to this hobby what glitter is to crafts, which we have a no glitter rule in the house too. I'll tell you that. Sundin says, I sold a 1-of-1 Matt Sundin autograph because I didn't like the auto and it was on card. Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to collect things I don't like either. It's why I don't collect printing plates. I don't think they look good. I don't care how important they might be. I just don't think they look good. Chad Shipper. Good evening, Jeremy, Joe, and Leighton. Good evening, Chad Shipper. Diamond Relics. Auto and unopened pack grades are ludicrous. Does it look good to you or doesn't it? That makes sense to me right there, Leighton. Opine on this. Joe, let's get you first, Leighton. What do you think? Packs.
Yeah, I mean, it all makes a lot of sense to me. It's fun discussion. And, in general, like when I've been in the auctions, I try to stay away from anything that's just hot. If it's for myself. So, you have these little things that work for you and you figure out a way to try to enjoy the hobby and avoid the drama.
Yeah. I collect unopened packs and only graded. I have one ungraded, but I like the original PSA pack slab. I don't like their new pack slab. I won't buy cards in them. I only buy them in the packs, but I don't care what the grade says. I care, are there holes in the corners and is the art centered on the pack are the two things for me. I don't care what the grade says. And I'll tell you, even if there's a hole in one of the corners, which my 61 Fleer pack does have, I'm okay with that too if it looks good. And again, in that case, you take what you can get. It's all about the own appeal because they're just so hard to find.
I'm going to differ with you, Jay Lee. I'm just going to differ with you on this one point. So you like Immaculate. I know you like Immaculate.
Yeah.
I've been really into Immaculate lately, like 2017 to 2020 on card autos. I've got some Joe Montana. I've got some Magic Johnson, and I've been keeping my eyes out for Jokic's. I think, I'm kind of been brought into the Jokic fold by our friend Hoj. He keeps showing me all the advanced metrics. It's hard not to follow in suit. But so in the Immaculate surface, the acetate is such that some of them are streaky and weird. And I know you're not saying that you want the card to look good, but a lot of these are in PSA holders, and the 10 is, indicative usually, not always. Sometimes the auto fades or streaks over time, but in a lot of these instances, it's the first strike. And particularly, I've been looking at Jokic a lot lately, and he's got a somewhat idiosyncratic signature. His auto shifts a little bit this way and that way, and so between the pens, I'm just going to say it. I guess I'm one of those fools that I don't even need the card to be a 10, but I really like if the auto is a 10, if it's slabbed up in a PSA case on those Immaculates.
But does the auto so you're buying the grade, right? Instead of can the auto can be a 10 without the 10 being on the label.
True. And that sometimes I think there was a wave where people really started pushing into the auto grade, and I think PSA started offering it more full scale. But so you're right, one doesn't exclude the other, but more often than not, a lot of these 2019, 2020, 22, they are going with both. And if they don't, I'm going to be a little more circumspect about them, because I can't always see the finer levels of the cards. The ink to the surface of the card can have things that are hard to see unless you actually have the card in hand. So, hey,
listen, if the 10 gives you comfort for buying sight unseen remotely, that's different. If you don't feel like you can assess the quality of the auto, the beauty of the auto on a screen, and the 10 gives you that comfort, I mean, that's what it's for. That's what it's for. So I can't dispute that at all. I mean, hey,
And
listen, it sells. So
I guess even, I mean, I want it to be a great auto like you. I do like seeing the 10. I guess that makes me like I'm not a grade guy on the card, but for some reason, I'm glad Leighton asked this question because it's making me realize I hadn't thought about this before, but I do actually like the clout of that extra designation on particularly the modern realms with the in-person, Sandies or older players. Like, it really is going to be specific to each and every card. And I might like a ballpoint pen that's faded just because it looks cool. But on those more recent, like, yeah, the Immaculates, I just like the clean, crisp. I like the 10. I guess I do. I like the 10.
yeah, hey, you do you. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend to say, oh, I love that for you, but hey, go, you do you, buddy. I mean, listen,
I don't think it. I don't, at least in my experience, the cards I'm buying, it's not that much of a premium. I mean, it's a little bit of a premium, but I mean, the ones I'm buying, probably when you get into
it shouldn't be a premium. The auto should all be like, I know they're not because these are humans signing these things, but the auto should all be really nice out of the pack for ultra modern cards. And listen, if that 10 makes you feel good, because 10s make people feel good, same way that ones make me feel good, 10s make other people feel good. So I get it. It just comes down to what support. Let's bring Chris Hoge on the screen. You ready to go? There he is. Good to see you. Hello
all.
Hey, Chris.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So you've been in the back for a little bit. We're just taking it one comment at a time, talking about autograph grades right now. Any opening comments for you as you join the stream, Chris?
No, I'm very passively consuming right now. Usually, sometimes I even have things I'm thinking of that I think if I was on screen right now, I would say that, but I'm really just listening right now. This is kind of outside of my lane anyway. The memorabilia stuff's outside of my lane. The on-card in-person autograph stuff's out of my lane. I do have some pack-pulled autograph cards, but not many. So I'm more absorbing right now.
Cool. All right. Well, let's hey, listen, Joe, how you doing for time? You sticking around?
Yeah, I got like till 9 probably.
Okay, so about 20. Leighton, how you doing?
Yeah, about 10 or 15 minutes.
All right. Okay, so let's just keep rolling through. We'll just go through questions, and I'll ask you guys to share your opinions. We'll do that for the duration of Joe and Leighton. Diamond Relics, we did already. Ben Hostler from Rolling Insights. What's up, Ben? Good to see you. Jake's Toe said almost all 89 Upper Deck Griffey autos are garbage looking to me because you can't even see it. They usually signed in blue Sharpie and can't even see it. Yeah, fair. Dan's Vintage, and I don't mean to blow that off. That's fair. Dan's Vintage, I definitely want my cheese graded. Good one, Dan. I mean, you got to laugh out of Laura and Bob Boozle. Colin said, no auto should get a 10 if you can't read it. Hallelujah. I agree with that. I mean, I want to read it, but what are they grading? Like, what is it depends on what the standards are for grading the autograph. Is it to grade how well the autograph was applied to the surface, to the medium that it's applied to, or was it how well you can see it? Because those could be two different things. But I don't want an auto I can't see either, graded a 10 or otherwise. Anyone have any? This is an interesting angle to the discussion. Anyone have any thoughts on that? If you do, just put up your hand so I know who to go to first. Chris scratching his nose does not count. No. Chris does. Yes.
I thought this was going in the direction of legibility at first. You guys were sort of saying that if I can't actually read what has been written, then it should be downgraded. But that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is that if the ink applied is a bad match for the background.
Yeah, I think that's what HC Exchange is saying on this one. I think that's what he's saying. But if the autograph is simply, well, then if we're talking about legibility, now you're talking about autograph style, which I don't think a grading company has a right to opine on. We, the hobby, can laugh at an autograph that is simply a check mark. I mean, yeah, that's silly. Like, what do you take us for? Other than our money, I suppose. I'm talking to the athlete, not the grading company or the card company in that case. But yeah, there's the ability. Has the autograph faded? To me, I don't. Anyway, enough of that. I think we're good there. I think we're good there. We had a few more here. First of all, good evening to Kinger. What's going on? Bob Boozle says Joe collects fat Jokic now. Come on, man. Not a this is the Bob Boozle disapproval. Chris C here says, I used to care about grading and I no longer care. I just want the best card and the best bang for my buck. To me, grading is really mainly important for authentication purposes. I think authentication is one of the key purposes of a grading company, authenticated, because they don't grade unless it's authenticated. So that it presupposes the grading itself. So I think authentication is extremely important as far as grading goes. And if you know where you say I don't really care, it's like, yeah, I like my cards graded for authenticity. I like the way they look in slabs, but I want to find the card pleasing to the eye. If it's in a 1 or a 10, it doesn't make a difference to me. In many cases. Anyone have thoughts on that? Joe, Leighton, Chris? Nope. Okie dokie. MG, Jay Lee is the golfer of the hobby. The lower the number, the better. I'll take it. I will take it for sure. Do they grade autos that are not on cards? Asks Cardfucius. On tickets, apparently they do. All right. So, hey, we're at the, well, I left a whole bunch of comments open from earlier on, but actually, Timepiece Esquire, I missed this one with a $4.99 tip. Says, in honor of my LA Kings playing that team from Vancouver, let's see some berets. Pavel Bure, not Valerie Bure, and no Panthers unis, old school Canucks, please and thank you. From Timepiece. I don't have any within reaching distance here at the moment, Timepiece, but thank you for the contribution. Okay, guys, well, let's do this. Let's go to the panel. Chris, hey, listen, this is probably the earliest in the show we've ever asked you for a topic. An hour 42 in. Did you come with anything, my friend?
Oh, yeah. I've got a backlog of topics like PSA does with cards to grade. And here's one. This is the one that's kind of been on my mind a lot. And then, Jeremy, you did something this week that I was actually looking at before coming onto the show that could be maybe a nice case study. So my topic is this, and the thing that I'm referring to as a case study was your post about the 2016 SP Authentic limited auto materials cards that you posted a few days ago. Right. My question is this: after you make a pickup, or maybe you made the pickup a while ago, but you're gearing up to make a social media post or some piece of content about the card. And so the broad question is, or the set in this case, what are some tips for telling the story behind that card? What are some of the approaches and the methods that we all use as collectors? And then sort of like riffing on that a little bit, or maybe giving some ways that we can branch off from it. Do you like to focus on the pickup itself? Sort of like the story of how you went and acquired it. I had to go to the parking lot of a bowling alley and I brought a security guy with me, or whatever the story is. Or do you prefer to like really focus on the card's significance? Do you really want to tell the story of the set and the history of the brand and how many issues came before it and after it and where it fits? And then finally, do you like to go into depth? Do you want to have 5 paragraphs of thoughts on the pickup, or do you just like to keep it short and sweet? I've seen every style. I've seen somebody who will just say new card, and they just post it and that's it. And I'll see people who, put hours of research and thought and writing into it. So there's the topic. Let it go where it goes.
Yeah, fun topic. I have a response. Thanks for the multi-pronged question. I have a response, and then I have a deflection to come after that. So, the first thing I think, because I did that with that post I made, Chris, is I thought, listen, I picked up 2 cards from that set. I already had 2. I want to show my acquisitions from the expo, but I also want to show how they fit into my collection. So I accomplished both of those tasks, both those goals with my post. The first thing I think about is, why do I want these cards? Like, the first thing I want to be able to tell somebody is, why did I want the card? So I thought about it. What is it about these cards that I wanted? And I realized it, and I made that a part of the story. How I acquired them. I don't, if there's something interesting there, I'm happy to tell the story. If I know or remember who I got it from, I want to share who I got it from. I want to give them a hat tip for bringing me the card, or placing the card into my collection. I want to give them that credit. I want to make that part of the story. I think it's interesting, and it helps give them some kudos and some thank yous and some recognition. The history of the card or the set itself. If there's significance and importance there, Chris, I want to share it, and I think I was able to do that, to provide like the lineage, but that also ties into why do I want the card as well. So there's something to be said for that as well. And then how deep do you want to go? I don't want to put hours and hours into the research. I'll be honest. Like, I'm willing to put in 20 to 30 minutes into the post, and then I'm pretty much going to be done. I might go to Card Ladder, look up a few facts or history. I had to go to Card Ladder for this, Chris, because I had to figure out, I went to Card Ladder and ComC, to be honest, to find out when did they make them? When did they not? When did they change the name from Limited Auto Patch to Limited Auto Materials? I didn't want to get my facts wrong, so I did some research. It took me 5 minutes. So there's all that. But I want to, so that's the response. The deflection is that I don't think I'm really great at it. I will say you do a great job at it. And then I would say my deflection is really to Leighton and his team, because when he has a find or a pickup, they don't just do a social media. Well, they do what you refer to as a piece of content. They'll make a video about it, and it's multi-purpose for them, right? They're running the business, but they also love this stuff. And like, I would look to both of you guys, actually, not just pandering to my guests on the screen right now, for how to do it right. And I've taken inspiration from both of you guys on that. And when someone posts a card to their Instagram and it's just a picture of the card, I just feel used. I feel like is that all you wanted out of me? You just wanted me to look at your card? You don't want to tell me anything? Like, those accounts don't get much attention from me. It's hard for me to like you aren't double tapping. I love to do for people, but I want to learn something about it. So that's my response, Chris. There's my deflection. Back over to you to reply. We'll hear from Leighton as well on it, and Joe too. But Joe, you don't have any cards on your app.
Are you freezing, or is that me?
I think it's me, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't do big social media posts per se. One of my posts, or my posts might be construed as just what I tell my friends. But I guess if I was going to, approach the question, it probably is more often than not just the card itself, and maybe also the athlete and the importance to me as a collector. So all those parts. And then if, what little I do sometimes will be accompanied with music. I have some fun just thinking about what song maybe resonates with a particular card. I don't know, a little inner textuality almost. But yeah, I'd say the deal itself more often than not is not a big thing, because most of what I'm doing is either in an auction or on eBay. But when there is a story, I love telling the story of a direct connection if you're lucky enough to kind of know the owner. And I am one of those collectors that asks the pesky questions when I do get something on eBay, particularly if it's a vintage card. I try to learn if there's any provenance to the card's history, and I can enjoy that personally. And maybe I'll share it, maybe I won't. But those are things that kind of resonate with me in the spirit of the question that Hoj asked.
Thank you. Sorry if I was in and out there, guys. What about you, Leighton? I think you guys heard most of what I said, but I do draw inspiration from your posts that you do, Chris's too. Any thoughts on Chris's question before we let him respond to all of us? Oh, sorry, Leighton. 1 second.
Oh, sure.
Okay, you're back. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a great question, Chris. And I think it depends on, the circumstances and such. Keep in mind that, I do this for a living, but I also collect as well. And so oftentimes when I'm sharing things, it is for commercial purposes, but then there's plenty of times I share it just because I love something. So, it really is two different paths. But I would say in either case, it really does matter to me if I can verify and know the provenance. And I think it's because, for whatever it's worth, right, I wasn't a great student in school. I was a better athlete. But I really did enjoy like social studies and history. And this is well before when I collected cards. So I really do appreciate, and certainly not to bring up a shameless plug here, but like those Red Cross tobacco cards, they're much more than baseball cards. And they're valuable, but they're not the most valuable find of this year or the last several years. But they're really cool. And it's an incredible tie back to what was going on in our country over 100 years ago. And to me, that matters. It may not matter to others. And I want to just bring up something else. Like we buy lots of collections, and I'm sure folks realize this, but if you don't, we buy lots of collections that you never hear a peep on. Because how many times can I talk about buying a 1950s collection again that has Campy and Mantle? So like if there's nothing special, I still try to document it, for our YouTube channel or whatever the case might be, a YouTube short or something like that. But I do care about the story. I care about where the cards come from. And then as far as why I like them, yeah, I just love the hobby. So if I have a reason why I like something, I share that. And as far as education, in the particular case of the Red Cross cards or other things like that, I really do like taking the time to educate when it's appropriate. But I don't like just choosing a random set and writing a diatribe, kind of like what you maybe were alluding to, Jeremy, of like putting in hours or an hour and a half on just a random set because like I saw a card I liked. I don't possess that capacity or that interest. But as I live it, I breathe it, and I experience it, I like to share it. And that's kind of the standpoint and the perspective that I operate from.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's great. And I like how you said, not every find, not every edition is worthy of a social media post. It depends. Maybe they are. Like Chris, the way you're collecting, every card is worthy because every card is significant. Leighton buying collections regularly, me adding the I picked this up from the mailbox the other day. It's number 472 in my collection of these cards. I'm not going to make a social media post for it, but here, there it is. Chris Letang with a San Jose patch. He never played for San Jose. I don't know, but one of those things that happens every so often, I suppose. But I also want to point out a couple guys in the chat. First of all, Orlando says, I go deep on my pickups. I'll do a video on the card, the player, the history, even video highlights of the player playing. Right? That's cool. That's a hobby in and of itself, is creating little mini documentaries about the card. Sean, Victory Investments, does that as well on Instagram a lot of the time. He'll put out a mini documentary on a card or a player. Dan's Vintage said it's all about the player's history and what it means to my life to have collected this particular card. That's what we want to hear. What he's doing, what Orlando's doing, what you do when you do it, Leighton, what Chris does, and what I sometimes do. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm not just putting up a picture of a card and saying, look what I got, guys. Come like my post. No. Teach me something. Tell me something. Why is it important to you? Let me learn more about why you collect these. I want to know as much as I can in a written up post. If it's a video, it's another story. Now you got to really be like Tony does Tony from Southern Collector. He does long videos on, but he really tackles the player and goes into several cards, not just one in many cases. So you can find all that content out there. I think it's wonderful. Chris, you had the question. We've all responded. what are your thoughts on what you learned? Do you feel good about the answers?
Yeah, I love the answers. And something that came up a few times that I hadn't anticipated in my question, but like Orlando's comment and Dan's comment referred to this, is and this is something that after they pointed it out, I certainly have noticed, especially in vintage and pre-war, it seems that there is an emphasis placed on telling the story of the player, talking about the player's history, the player's accomplishments, what they meant to society. Like I've definitely watched several Tony Southern Collector videos where, you know, he just he basically gives me a documentary on the player, which is cool. And that's certainly something that's kind of missing from ultra modern collecting, and partially because, you know, these player stories are still being written in some cases, or they're really fresh and maybe there's not too much extra to add. But I wonder what you guys think specifically, because like Jeremy, for example, like if we were to sort of review, your post has Crosby, Ovechkin, McDavid, and Kucherov, and so maybe there's not a lot of biography that we need to do there, but I definitely feel the impulse every time I post a card where I'm like, and I kind of fight it, I kind of beat it down, but I feel the impulse where I want to say, I want to tell people why I'm so excited about this player. I want to give them their stat sheet. I want to tell what all their accolades are. I want to tell what I love about how they play. And I try to find the balance. I save that for like the last paragraph of the post if I'm going to do it. So I turn that question back to the panel, is to you, when are the conditions where you want to go out of your way to make sure you tell the story and the history of the player? And then when you do, what do you focus on? Do you focus more on sort of the narrative or a key moment that they had, or, you know, how many of a certain accomplishment they have? How do you approach that?
Well, I won't really get into the player themselves as much, Chris, as I might get into why the player, because again, I rarely post a card alone. I do this. I like to post my flights. You know, I got these 4 cards off the checklist. So I'd rather explain why these guys made it into my flight of cards versus the player significance. I also figure that anyone can go search the player's name and find out what they want, you know, find out the high level information, what their career stats, their accolades, their awards, their championships, their MVPs. You can find that out pretty easily. What you can't find out is why it's important to the particular collector, the story of the acquisition. These are things you can't find out by going on Wikipedia or just Googling it. The brand history is sort of a hybrid of the two. You know, you can find out, but I'd rather just make that more convenient for you. So why I would do it for some and not others really comes down to how much I like the card. I don't like all my cards equally. So it might be a lot about that as well. Again, it's like it's like Mookie said right here. There's definitely honor in not posting. Every card doesn't need a video or Instagram post. And that's kind of, I agree. So some I'm willing to do it for, some I don't bother, or maybe they'll show up in a group post later on where, maybe I say, hey guys, I hit my 45th card from this set. Here they all are. And if you want to zoom in and do this, you'll be able to see what it looks like, because they'll be so small in one Instagram post. But that's my response. I hope it didn't disappoint you, like in terms of the scope of my response versus the content of it. I'm not worried about the content offending you, but the scope or disappointing you. I just hope that the scope didn't in my response.
No, it's great. I mean, there's a collector juggles quite a bit of information, especially the deeper they get and the more sophisticated they become. I mean, a collector sort of at the peak of their powers is going to have an encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of different things about the player's history, about their cultural significance, about the product that the card comes from, about what that product means to their particular offering, what it means to the broader offering of products. So it's really cool I find myself as a collector, as the months and years roll by, that I continue to specifically feel compelled to refine my understanding of a sport's history, my understanding of the modes of measurement of the sport's performance, which is just a different way of saying its stats, but really trying to understand its stats and its accolades. And then same thing for cards. Our competitive advantage as collectors and as curators of collections is that we have knowledge and access into product configurations, checklists, print runs, aesthetics, history. That's the biggest thing that distinguishes us from the new level, the entry level, brand new entrant to the sports card market, is that we have all of this command, even if we don't realize it, but we have all this command over information surrounding the history of cards and sets and products and players too. But a lot of people can come in with knowledge of players and sports and that history, but everybody has to start from scratch in terms of understanding how checklists work and how products are related to each other and stuff. So I think that's our advantage. That's our specialty. That's our expertise as collectors, is that we know products and checklists in a way that no other person, especially no lay person, can know. And I find myself wanting to lean into that more and more as time goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's well, you are somebody who has a great thirst for knowledge and information, Chris. You're always studying, reading, from what I can tell. So I'm not surprised that you take that approach, and that's how you've always approached the hobby in a scholarly fashion, I would say. So I'm not surprised at all, and it's one of the things that I like about you. Well, maybe the only thing. No, I'm just kidding. One of the things I like about you. Okay, Joe, Leighton, I want to respect your time, what you said before. So any comments you want to, anything you want to respond to, mention, anything?
Sure. I'm going to jump in real quick, Joe, if I may.
Go right ahead.
So first thing is, similar to you, Chris, I feel that I want to learn. And so the reason why I like your posts, even though I don't collect actively in modern, I do collect enough, and I want to understand the space. So in modern especially, I get nothing out of folks who post a card that's high grade. They just got it back from PSA and they reveal it. There's nothing about anything, regards to information about the card, how hard it is, or that kind of good stuff. And I think that not that they're so much older, but like when you get back to the early 2000s, the 90s, some of the stuff you collect, Chris, I was going to close with this. So whether it's that information, or you're talking now about the player and the storytelling, it's about doing it succinctly and doing it in a way, whether it be you feel like you're writing it or you're going to produce a video. Like, I know that you could produce the greatest video on a collection ever, but if it's 22 minutes, I'll tell my team, like, that video is not going to do well. Unless you get some sort of celebrities that come and pop into the video, it doesn't matter if it's the best video in the hobby in the world. It's just not going to do well. So, I think there's going to be some balance, Chris, as far as, the thirst to learn. And like, I was just thinking about Wemby, right? Wemby has all these different cards, but you know what I'd like to see about a post on Wemby, and just maybe use this as a blueprint, right, for modern in general? I'd like someone to share with me the story. When Wemby was 11 years old, he dribbled the ball 11 hours a day, 360 days a year. He only took off for holidays. Like, when you start like that, Chris, that's the hook to me. It doesn't even matter so much about the card at that point. And then, of course, if you can, the card's important to me because my mother never, and obviously Wemby's current, but I know you collect Jordan. So I really think that the storytelling is important, but doing it in some sort of way where the reader comes, or the person who's watching the video comes along with you on that journey, and they feel something. And that's what I want to close with. It's all about feeling something. And if you can feel something yourself when putting it together, there's likely going to be at least one other person. And I would say that this is the truth. It's helped me produce more content and not worry about it. I don't worry if I'm only going to get one person to like it or one person to watch it, because I didn't produce it for 87 people. I hope 877 people watch it, or 8,000 people, because it's better for my business. But I didn't do it for that. And so that's really just what I wanted to close with.
I just want to make a comment that when you were describing the things that you'd want to learn, it reminded me of what the little captions we used to see on the back of vintage sports cards, telling us the little stories like that. Like, little Wemby used to dribble for 11 hours a day when he was 8 years old. Like, that's something you would have seen on the back of a sports card. Now, all you get is congratulations. We don't know where this piece of memorabilia comes from, but congratulations. In many cases, I poke fun, of course, but great way to end it, Leighton, or thank you for joining. Before you go, though, I feel like you just dumped a lot, and I feel like Chris and or Joe may have a response.
No, I'd like to hang out for a minute or two while they respond, and then I'm
gonna. And we got Josh in the back. So, Josh, I'm going to bring you on, Josh, just to get on the screen Josh was just celebrating something. I saw you cheering. He was just cheering for something.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Chris, Leighton, Joe, Jeremy.
What were you cheering? And then we'll get back to Chris's answer here.
I won a piece of memorabilia.
Oh, an
I'm
auction
excited.
win.
I'll talk about it later, but everyone finished their, and there's a story behind it, so we can.
I literally saw him in the background doing this he was doing 5 minutes ago. He was literally cheering with his arms above his head. Okay, back to you, Chris, please.
Yeah, I love the direction that Leighton went with it, because that's ultimately what I hope that this topic generates through discussion. Is there will be thousands of people who will listen to this across YouTube and across the podcast platforms, and I think one of the things that if I put myself in the shoes of an audience member, I would love to just kind of have the opportunity to hear from people like Leighton, like the other people on the screen, people in the chat. What do you want to see out of a post? Like, have you ever critically thought about, this was a post of a card that like really drew me in, and it made me want to learn more about that player, more about that set, more about that product, or it made me want to follow you and learn more about your collection, or consume more of your content, or maybe buy, sell, trade with you, or something like that. So like that, what he ultimately keyed in on there is being succinct and making people feel something, whether that's through storytelling or however. And I just think that's great advice. That's back to basics, but it's great advice. And so, yeah, that's what I'd be looking for from everybody on stage at this point now, is maybe like a little flip of perspective away from like, this is how I do it, to this is what, when I'm scrolling one of my social media feeds, this is what captures me and gets me really interested.
Joe, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not, kind of in the social media realm. I mean, I did work at an auction house. I don't talk about this very much with people, but I was a content writer for PWCC for about 8 months. And so I wrote content for ultramodern basketball cards mostly. And yeah, we would do those write-ups. I think it's now been more or less replaced with AI. Our team kind of got outsourced fairly quickly with the AI emergence. But, it's really interesting to like occasionally you just look for something in the card, the year, maybe something on the back of the card, or something that is happening on the front of the card in terms of the imagery, and, kind of freestyle from there. Giannis selling cassettes on the streets of Athens, or Michael Jordan sneaking in after hours to the grocery store through the back so he wouldn't get mobbed and he could go grocery shopping. You find certain angles that maybe create some kind of connection. A lot of times they weren't real direct, and I think most serious card collectors didn't necessarily feel that compelled by those stories. But we did occasionally get into the origins of lenticular design, or certain things with the production, the odds of certain cards being what they were. And that, to me, that what this all brings up, Hoj, is just the interesting kind of the eye of the needle, threading the needle between not being perceived as a pumper or in some way kind of self-congratulatory to your own pickup, but sharing at the same time a genuine love and or appreciation for what you are acquiring or what you are bringing in to your collection. And I think that's a tricky thing in the hobby space, because a lot of people are so quick to pass judgment that your excitement is essentially tantamount to pumping up your card's value. So I don't know. I think you do it tremendously well, Hoj. I think like I learn a lot in terms of sets and like the real kind of diving deep into particularities that I would never know, because I'm not out there doing the research on how many, black one of ones there are in the 2017 select versus the 2018 select. And so being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor and come to greater appreciation always enhances my hobby experience.
I love the point that Joe made. Sorry, Jeremy.
No, I was saying, what do you think of that, Chris?
Yeah, I love the point that he made, because like this is something that's sort of lingering beneath the background every time I go make a post, and he just summed it up really well, which is like, how do I avoid just coming across as a person who's just hyping and pumping what I just bought. And like the way that I've developed to sort of circumvent that is just to move as far away from the subjective that I can and into the objective. So if I'm telling you objectively true facts about a card or about a player, and even those can be framed and slanted in ways that tilt the discussion, but if I try to really just ground my caption and my writing into verifiable objective facts that are grounded historically and that might end up making other cards look better or more appealing than the one that I'm posting, but that ends up situating my card in the story of these other cards. That's sort of the way that I've tried to avoid appearing overzealous in my exaggerations about how much I like the card, because genuinely when I'm going to post a card, I'm probably really fired up about it. And that's kind of a good way to guard against bias in sports too. Like that's where I learned this technique from, is being a sports fan. It's like, how do I guard against narrative bias that you hear from media, from journalists, from TV, from podcasts? And one way that you can do it, the way that I like to do, is by leaning into objective measurables. And if we can lean into those and we can understand how those work, then at least I understand this is exactly what's being measured. Everybody is being graded on the same exact curve, and there's no narrative bias here. This is just literally what the numbers say. And so it's the same way in a post. Like, if the more I can lean into the posts, into the card that I'm posting, into its factual resume, the better. That, like, this card comes from this product is in its X iteration, the print run is here, these are the other parallels, and so on and so forth. But the problem there is that I can very quickly end up sacrificing the thing that makes the post most engaging, which is just the personal story, which is just, this is why I love the card, this is why I'm so excited about it. I do think that this card is so and so forth. So trying to thread that needle and balance it's tough. It's tough to do.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, fun topic. We have a few comments. And the first one actually, first of all, before Joe and Leighton jump off, I do want to, I just had a call-in question actually, and this is a call-in question. It came for Chris. Chris is already laughing. So the question comes, can you ask Hoj what he does to seemingly age backwards? Does collecting Jordan 1-of-1s provide you a fountain of youth? This is coming in from Wax Stars on Instagram for Chris Hoj.
What do you mean call in? They sent it over on Instagram?
I mean, he texted me directly instead of sending it through. I literally got the text message.
Wow.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
What a comment from Wax Stars there.
I think it's
no
David,
need to
right?
answer it. He's just being fun. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
that was great.
That was great.
Shout out Wax Stars.
Yeah, shout out Wax Stars. Leighton and Joe, are you guys sticking around? Because you're welcome to.
Thank you. I have to run, but thank you.
Say hi to Crosby. Thank you, Leighton. Cool. Hope you had fun. We had fun. Thank you for joining.
Appreciate you having me, guys. It was great seeing everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Thank you. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I got to pop off, but thanks so much. Fun show, and I'll try and listen to the rest as I can.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Thanks for joining, and
Okay.
We'll talk later. Have a good rest of the night.
Take care, fellas. Carry on.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
All right.
Right.
So we're down to the final home stretch here, guys. This Wax Star says, hold on a second. That was not me who asked that question. When I saw this, I thought that might be the guy, and I thought maybe this isn't him. There's not two X's in the Wax Stars I'm talking about. So you might be this might be a different person. I don't know.
Maybe an imposter in the chat.
Maybe not though. We just don't know. Is there an imposter out there? Well, who's the imposter? That's right. Okay. Josh, so what did you pick up tonight?
So I won a 1967 NFL championship ticket, otherwise known as the Ice Bowl, between the Packers and the Dallas Cowboys, December 31st, 1967. It's a famous game because it was like 50 below zero. And the famous last play is Bart Starr did a QB sneak and Jerry Kramer faked over the top. Historically significant game. Also, I saw Bart Starr at the airport at the National in 2009, and he was right in front of us. And my friend said, Starr was down before the goal line. No way he got in. Bart Starr's head whipped around, Bullshit. I was sorry. BS. I was in. No way. They never saw it coming. We faked him out. He was still fired up about it. It was the funniest thing ever. And just shook his hand and said, "Nice to meet you, Mr. Star." He goes, "You want an autograph?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm a Bears fan. Thank you."
That's all I'm gonna say, man. Packers and Cowboys, okay, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Congrats, Josh. That is so cool, man. You know, just
Sorry.
December 31st, 1967 for a Super Bowl. That's back when the whole football season took place in the same calendar year.
Well, that's
which I love.
That's the prequel to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
the winner of that played in the Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah. Is this like the first or the second year of the merger or something? I don't know.
Second year.
Second year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
need a
that's great.
program too now. So those are easy to find.
Congrats, man. Cool. And look, you see how he's told the story too, fairly succinctly, had a personal touch to the Bart Starr of it all. I mean, that was good. That kind of fed right into what we were talking about.
Exactly. I might post that when I get it in hand. So it's incoming, but not available. So
that's
my old card. Good stuff. All right.
My old ticket.
My old ticket. All right. I'm gonna run through some comments, guys. Dan's Vintage said it's all about the player's history and what it means. Oh, I did that one. Damn it. Sorry. It was such a good comment. I thought I'd do it twice. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Diamond Relics. We didn't get to this one in time for Leighton. The question was, Leighton, your thoughts on Legends of the Game auction closing policy? They seem amazing on the shill, but not so much on the sleep. I guess they have a long extended bidding process. Orlando, we did Orlando's comment as well, so I apologize. Here we go. Sundine564 said that CT scanning unopened wax feels like 5 years ago. It kind of really does feel like that. I mean, it's like dog years, right? In hobby years, it is 5 years ago. In human years, it's like one. Absolutely. Dave Snyder says, why do we ignore the fact that Beckett created a conflicted system by having the price guide and a grading company add the fact that he stated shilling is all right in certain situations? Well, I have a few thoughts on that, Dave Snyder. First of all, I just want to point out there's 20 years between the system of a price guide and a grading company and the fact that he stated shilling is all right in certain situations. So 20 years in between, I see that as a significant gap in time to kind of thread them together here. Although it depends on how you assess someone's character. If we say people don't change, then maybe it's prudent from that angle. The system that created the conflict or the conflicted system by having the price guide and the grading company, that's interesting because yeah, that was done. I would think that in the early days that they were kind of two separate divisions. I don't think the guys writing the price guide, I doubt if the guys writing the price guide were the guys that were grading the cards, but I guess you never know. You never know what could possibly go on. So, but I think to answer the question, why do we ignore that fact? Because it was 25 years ago, and I think that like the statute of limitations on what Beckett created back then, I think the more prudent question is, should it still be going on today? And why are they still doing that? Why are they still doing a price guide and grading? And I just don't think anyone really, yeah, I'll get one sec, just one sec. I don't think people care, to be honest, because even when, like in all of the 2000s, up until the Beckett brand in hobby narrative took a beating, I don't know what the bottom line is doing over there. Nobody ever cared. So I think that's why it's ignored and I don't think that the hobby ever suspected, or maybe certain people did, but I don't think there was a general feeling out there or a movement to say they shouldn't do that. I feel like PSA comes under much harsher scrutiny nowadays for potential or perceived conflicts than Beckett ever did. And I don't know why that is, but I maybe it's just where times are now. There's so many more voices here in the post-pandemic era of the hobby that we talk about these things more. I think if Beckett were to introduce those two business lines today, I think they'd be under intense scrutiny. But I think because they've been going on for so long, I don't think, again, I don't think anyone ever really cared. I don't really remember the conversation happening in the 2000s or the 2010s. Maybe whispers of it, like Dave Snyder, but I just don't recall that happening on message board discussion groups too much. At least not the ones I was on, which were Beckett and then Hobby Insider, a little bit of Sports Card Forum. I kind of stopped really doing message board stuff right around when Blowout became a thing. So, but those are and I reserve the right to have additional thoughts to this because kind of being put on the spot in answering it. It's a legitimate, deep, important question. So I want to give it the time it deserves, but I also don't know that I've thought through it completely yet. So I want to just leave that caveat there. But Josh, sorry to make you wait so long. What do you think?
Okay, so I'm trying to think this through. So what's the actual conflict? Because they're just grading cards that they don't own, and whether or not Beckett gives a card a high grade or a low grade, how does that affect? Like, I guess where's the conflict?
I think well, and I think maybe you're right. I think in PSA situation with the upcharges, people definitely perceive a conflict there. Beckett doesn't have that, so maybe they're not part of it, or else maybe the conflict is let's grade cards. Attribute or ascribe more value to them. That'll grow the hobby. We'll sell more magazines. We'll do more grading. Chris, do you have any thoughts? Where's the conflict there?
Well, it's a good question. There's that's a good question. There's sort of to the question too, though. There are conflicts everywhere in all businesses at all times. And it's the step one is acknowledging them. And then step two is trying to build safeguards and institutional procedures that minimize the risk of them becoming an issue. And then, step three is if there's a serious and problematic appearance of impropriety, then, maybe one of those things needs to be walked away from, one of the things causing the conflict. But here, I just, I don't know. Maybe has he entered into the chat perhaps what he sees the conflict as?
I don't know that I don't see anything else from Dave Snyder right now. I'm just scrolling through and I don't see anything else from that account. So wait.
Here's a potential conflict. Perhaps there's an incentive to
he says over here, my question ignored again, buddy. No one will touch it. You didn't wait long enough, Dave Snyder. He was talking to Bob Boozle. Your question was not ignored, but your question was like 40th in line. So you can't just come in and expect me to answer your questions right away, Dave Snyder. I'll get to them when we get to them. We have other people in the chat and other people on the screen. So sorry about that, Chris. Please continue.
It's fine. Maybe there's a potential for a conflict if the pricing is being issued on a per grading company basis. So if the price guide has to provide a grade for a BGS 10 black label, a BGS 10 gold label, a BGS 9.5, a BGS 9, a BGS 8.5, and then it's also providing grading for other grading companies, then perhaps there's a risk that the conflict arises from the potential of an incentive existing to want to have a price guide reflect favorably upon one grading company relative to the other. There's a thought.
Yeah. If it was a graded price guide, but I think Beckett. I mean, I know Beckett did eventually do a graded price guide, but I don't think that I don't even know if they still do it. I don't know how long they did it for. No idea. I think it's a great question from Dave Snyder. Certainly wasn't ignored, just had to wait its turn to get on the screen. And thank you for the question. Hello to CarY15. Yankees fan says, I have bought several cards off things Jeremy and his guests have talked about on Sports Cards Live. Oh, I think that's about how do you find out what you do like? Sometimes it's by looking for things. Sometimes you just browse. Sometimes you just it's like, when I'm set up at a card show and someone comes to my table and, just making small, hey, what are you collecting? What have you bought so far? What are you looking for? They're like, oh, just whatever catches my eye. That's the thing. Sometimes you don't know what you like until you see it, which I think is a very fair approach. Dave Snyder, here's another comment from Dave. He says, the one thing we can count on is the hobby will continue. It always does. Absolutely. Question for Chris from Chris. Do you have a favorite 90s basketball insert or set?
No, I don't, but I've been studying and really taking a great interest in, for the most of this year, 1998-99 Upper Deck as a base set, the insert sets as a product, Series 1 and Series 2, the whole thing. I've really taken a great interest in 98-99 Upper Deck basketball. That was the first ever Upper Deck base set to issue 1 of 1s. So I've taken a great interest in it as a result of that. And Upper Deck's base sets, especially in the 90s, but even still to this day, were so intricate. They had multiple subsets. They had checklists, the way that they arranged things, what comes first. They were there. There's just it's so interesting and sophisticated. And so anyway, I've taken a great interest in that, and it's been really fun to learn about and collect cards from.
How about you, Josh? Do you have a favorite 90s insert or set?
Diamond Dimensions, 97 Diamond Dimensions is my favorite. Basketball, baseball, I love 93 Topps Finest Refractors, the first refractors ever made, and they're fantastic.
And there we have it. Sullivan's Sports Cards says, everyone is a flipper and wants a deal. I need room. I hear too often. I'm not a wholesaler, and these cards are an extension of my collection. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you don't have to sell your cards to flippers who need room. That's the thing. You have, like, I hear you, Sullivan. Some cards I'm willing to sell cheaper. It just depends how you get them. That's going to be everything kind of stands on its own. But if all you do is buy, sell cards and you don't collect, then it's easier. It's easier to maybe leave room on cards for other people because you want them gone and you know you're making money anyway. Is a way to do it. But or if you can do it that way, I suppose. Jake's Toe here said, one of the reasons I love beat up vintage cards is because you know they have stories behind them. I love that too. I just wish we could find out those stories. You know they have a story. They're just not going to talk. No matter what you do to those cards, they ain't talking, which is too bad. It's just too bad. For the game said, watching this show, Leighton's show, Greg, etc. It's the cards and the stories behind them. There's people that love that content, and that's very interesting. Greg says, I consider myself a podcaster who posts them in video format. And just to Dave Snyder, because I'm looking at it, that comment by Midlife is now 23 minutes old, Dave. So I don't think I made you wait too long anyway. All right. Sorry, I had a few more here. Cage said, whatever you post, I am going to defensively comment on it. All right, Cage, thank you for the comment. Jeffro, it's funny how different an answer you're going to get from people based on their age demographic. I think this was on, how you I think this was about the content, the quality of the social media posts on a bunch of the cards that you are actually posting. And then, this is funny from Greg. I'm going to text Jeremy my comments moving forward. That's just what I need. Looking down on hey, Dave Snyder. There's my Jeremy. I knew he would see it. I told you. I wasn't leaving you hanging, Dave Snyder. I wasn't leaving you hanging. All right. I am now, we're still pretty well behind on comments. There's some long ones. I can't just read them right now. Jeremy is so right. I'm a non-patient person. Okay. Oh, that's Carvin. Damn, I didn't know that was you, Carv. I didn't know that was you. He says Beckett also didn't have an SMR with price guides for graded cards, although I could be wrong. That's the Sports Market Report. Was the name of PSA's original magazine that ran for like decades. If you were a member, if you had their annual membership, it often, if not always, came with a subscription to SMR. It was one of the nice perks. Now they just have the PSA magazine, I believe. I don't know if it's monthly or what, but it's SMR, I got a bunch of them up there. They were always a high quality magazine, just like the PSA magazine now is a very high quality, like nice pages, good color, sturdy, like all sorts of good, and articles as well. Here's Chris, there's a question for you about Card Ladder. Are you open to it?
Sure, if it won't bore the panel and the audience.
Well, actually, I've had the same question. It says,
okay, good.
I have a great question for Chris if he will talk about it. Okay, I want to know why the same card can have different card ladder values when it's the same card, all because it's a different sale. And that I've had that same question. If you're researching, a card, and usually this will occur, I've noticed, Chris, on maybe it doesn't matter, but I think I've noticed on like liquid type cards, maybe illiquid cards, but a card it's the same card, same grade. They can have different card ladder values at time. I'm not going to try and describe it anymore because I'm not too clear on it. So I'll just push it back to you.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what happens. But I'll first say that we've tried in the more recent past to implement technology that guards against it because people generally didn't like it. But here, let me kind of try and invent an example and see if I can explain why it happens, and then also kind of show how we've tried to guard against it, even though it still could continue to happen conceivably. So there's been people talking in the chat about the 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. PSA 10. So let's use that as an example. Let's say that 1 year ago, there was a sale of that card in that grade for $3,000. And 1 month ago, there was a sale of that card in that grade for $4,000. And then you go to the $3,000 one and you click it, and it says card letter value 3,500. And it will have the lowest possible confidence interval. It will say 1 of 5. It will be the green bars beneath the price. There will only be 1 of the 5. That means the 1 of the 5 selected. That means lowest possible confidence interval. And that's because it was a year ago. And then let's say that the other sale, you have the a $3,500 sale a month ago, and that will have a higher confidence interval. I think that'll have 3 out of 5. And let's say that the 3,500 sale I hope I didn't garble my numbers here, but let me get back on track and just go with these numbers for me here. Let's say the $3,000 sale is showing a card ladder value of 3,500, and the sale from a month ago that sold for 4,000, let's say that's showing a card ladder value of 4,100. Okay, so we've got the sale that was a year ago that says card ladder value of 3,500. And we have the sale from a month ago that's saying card letter value of 4,100. So there's a $600 difference. So you might be saying, well, what the heck? This is the same card. This is the same grade. What's the difference? Well, here's how the card letter value is calculated. And we've kept the calculation of the card letter value as simple as possible, as transparent as possible, specifically so that hopefully people could understand it after they read a little bit about it or understood how it works. And this is how it works. So we've got the sale from a year ago for 3,000, says a card letter value of 3,500 today. All that means is that Ken Griffey Jr.'s player index's card ladder in Ken Griffey Jr.'s player index and card ladder has increased such that whatever the percentage changes from 3,000 to 3,500. So I guess 500 divided into 3,000 is a sixth. A sixth as a percentage is about 17%. So we're saying that, I think that's, if my math is right there, but so let's just go with it. So what that's saying is that Ken Griffey Jr.'s player index has increased 17% over the last year. That's all that's saying. So a year ago, Ken Griffey Jr.'s player index and card letter was 17% lower. Today it's 17% higher. You simply apply that rate of change to the price. So it sold for $3,000 a year ago. Apply the 17% rate of change, $3,500 today. Okay, that's how that calculation works. There's nothing more or less to it. It's very simple. Take whatever the price was a year ago, multiplied by the change in Griffey Jr.'s index, you get your price today of $3,500. And then you look at the one from a month ago. You say, well, it was $4,000 a month ago. It's $4,100 today. How did you get to that? Same thing. What that's saying is that Ken Griffey Jr.'s index has ticked up just 1% or 2% in the last month. That brings the price from 4,000 to 4,100. So that's how you can get different prices. And you say, well, how do I reconcile this in my mind? How could it be that the card was selling for 3,000, Griffey's index is up 17%, 3,500 now on the one, and 4,100 on the other one? And the way that can happen, there's a number of ways that could happen. Maybe Griffey's index is lagging the market trajectory for this particular card. That's one option. Another option is the $3,000 sale might have just went low. Maybe the auction ended late at night. Or maybe it was improperly listed, or maybe it was a poor photograph, or maybe it was a number of things. Or by the same token, maybe the $4,000 sale was just high. Maybe somebody anxiously hit buy it now on a $4,000 listing, and that one went for higher than the other one. And so sort of as we as collectors, once we understand how that mathematical process works and calculating the price, we actually can glean information from that. The fact that there is a spread is telling us something. The fact that there is a spread is telling us that there's some misalignment here. Maybe Griffey's index is moving slower than this card. Maybe people are more recently jumping in to buy this with a little too much exuberance. We actually have, through the discrepancy in the CL values, there's actually information that can be helpful to a discerning buyer. Okay, now with all that said, technologically, that shouldn't happen because we've implemented tools and image recognition technology that should line up the card letter value for all of the PSA 10s of that specific card such that they all triangulate to the card letter value that's attached to the most recent sale of the card. So we've tried to build the tech that prevents that from happening, but occasionally it could happen that maybe we didn't fully capture the image of the card on a sale from a year or two ago. So the image recognition tech isn't able to line up all the slabs or something of that nature that could perhaps cause one or two sales to not line up to the CL value. But anyway, sorry, I know that's boring. That's a lot of math, but basically that's how it works. And it should, in the ideal case, you should get the same card letter value as long as the image recognition tech is working.
And Dan's Vintage says, nobody told me there would be math.
I knew that would be. So half the audience probably just left. So apologies.
No, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. Couple of comments came up, Chris. There's one. There's an apology for you in the chat. I'm going to put this one up there. Sancho would like to apologize to you. Sancho says, I'm sorry to tell you, but card ladder makes no sense. The stuff is worth what it last sold for. Who cares what it sold for a year or a month ago? It's worth whatever someone is paying now. What do you say to those? What do you break that down, Chris? Because I mean, I could break it down. I've got some thoughts, and I'll share mine after. I'll let you go first because I'm sure you're going to be softer than I would be.
Yeah, I'm going to be very soft on this. I take no issue with that at all. I think the discerning collector has it within their tool belt to want to use something like card letter value potentially or not. And probably the upper deck Griffey example that I chose is not a good one because that is a very liquid card. It sells all the time. How useful could a card letter value be in the first place? But there are sometimes situations where you have a card that hasn't sold in 3 or 4 years. And then I'm not saying that the card letter value is in any way a statement of what that card is worth. It's just an estimate, and it's really just a tool. It's just a piece of math. It's just X times Y. It's just that price on that day times the change in the applicable index since then. But maybe some people find that useful. Maybe some people don't. Yeah. To the extent that people are experts, especially who are tapped into the price of similar cards of the same player or same card of similar players, and they're able to triangulate a value through their expertise and their own knowledge as a collector, that is fantastic. I would recommend that approach over just leaning into a single number that an algorithm generates, especially an algorithm that's this simple. It's just the change in the index times the price on that date. But the thing that I would say in card letter's defense is that still we're giving you all that information too. Like we're trying to provide you with the most robust possible sales history database that you could use, and you can ignore the card letter value. You can turn it off. You can go to your settings and turn it off and never look at it again for the rest of your life. It's just a tool. If you'd like to use it, great. If you don't want to use it, dude, turn it off. It will not offend or hurt my feelings or anybody's feelings at all.
Well, it hurts my feelings a bit. Here's why I was saying that I would not be as soft, because just the way that Sancho stated the first part. So Sancho, here's what I'm saying, where you say, sorry to tell you, but card ladder makes no sense. That's a very sweeping statement. Card ladder has a whole bunch of things on it versus the card ladder value, which I think is what you're saying makes no sense, but you left out the word value. So you kind of took a swipe at the whole platform. And I just don't think that's fair. Unless you did it inadvertently, in which case you're forgiven, of course. But if you're saying card ladder makes no sense, that's just wrong. Card ladder, there's a lot of things on card ladder that make a lot of sense, and it's really just a data provision tool anyway. But as far as the card ladder value goes, I don't have it turned off but I also don't really care what it tells me. The only thing I use card ladder value for is for what it's meant to do. Give me an idea of what that player's index has done. And I know that doesn't reflect on that card specifically, because you can't, because I think it's Sancho said it later. I don't have it marked right now, but I think Sancho made the comment too that not all the players' cards move at the same rate. And that's exactly true. And that's why sometimes I just want to know, how are Steph Curry cards doing in the past little while versus that's what that my card is worth today. So I think you just have to, and like Chris said, oh, there it is right there. Sancho said, not every card of a certain player moves in the same percent. Exactly right. Couldn't agree more with that. But if you know what you're looking at, it's like, you just have to know what you're looking at and don't think, like, know what they're trying to tell you. If you assume what they're trying to tell you, then you're going to just be wrong. And you just have to get educated, get informed. It's really as simple as that. But my only issue with the comment was when you say card ladder makes no sense. I think what you were really talking about was card ladder value, which I think there's potentially there's some merit to that, because it is. And they also, the confidence levels are very just a great sort of way to equalize that as well, I would think. So, but Sullivan said, great deep explanation. And I do understand and follow you. Coding can be complicated and frustrating task. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you. That's very nice. Justin Bode agrees with Hoj. It makes sense to me.
Shout out Justin Bode.
Shout out Justin, right? There's Justin Bode. You know, a couple months might go by. You're going to see Justin Bode eventually. You're going to see, I love it. But yeah, still a worthwhile topic. For sure. Dan's Vintage, I'm being penalized for getting a good buy. I don't know what happened. Oh, right.
He's got a different comment. Here it is. Yeah.
So my new Gene Hackman 1-of-1 auto that I bought for $207 2 weeks ago and has 2 total sales. Back in July, it went for $499. Why does Card Ladder give it a price of $213 now? Feels like it should be higher. I'm being penalized for getting a good buy.
This is a great topic, all right, that speaks to comp culture in general.
What am I missing? What's he getting at, Chris?
He's saying, okay, first of all, it's a really cool card. I saw him post it to Instagram. I thought it was so cool. I know I've got family members who are huge Gene Hackman fans, and I showed a few of them that card, and they thought it was really cool too. So he's got this awesome Gene Hackman 1-of-1, and what he's saying is, well, could you put his comment back up just to make sure that I don't get it wrong? Because I think he's saying,
let me find it. Yeah, right here.
Okay, so his new Gene Hackman 1-of-1 that he bought it for $207, but also back in July, it looks like somebody else sold it and somebody else bought it for $499. So somebody bought it for $499, turned around and sold it a few months later, and it only went for $207. And so he's saying, look, this sold for almost $500, and it's a 1-of-1, and maybe people just overlooked it when I snagged it for $207. So why is the 207, or I guess CL value is probably, I don't think we have a character index or a personality index for Gene Hackman. So I think that's probably tied to the CL50 index, which, by the way, you can see which index is being used to estimate the CL value just by opening the side panel of the sale and sales history and just looking. It should be right there in your line of sight. So he's sort of saying, like, well, the CL value is up a little bit because the CL50, which is presumably the index tied to this card, is up a little bit. But he's like, but why is it anchored to the $207 sale? It's the same card. It sold for almost $500 in the summer. Like, why is the most recent comp the one that's determining what it's worth today? That's his question. So this applies to Card Ladder's methodology, but it's also just a broader question about, is the last sale the worth of the card, or should I be valuing it differently? I mean, this is a good question.
There's no answer to that question too. There's no single sale gives you the value of a card, guys. No single sale does. I mean, unless it's like the T206 Wagner, where that no one's ever lost money. But generally speaking, no single sale reflects the true value of a card I don't know that any single sale ever will. The market is too fragmented. It's too disjointed for that to actually be the case. This is not the stock market. It just doesn't work that way. And Jake's Toe makes a good comment. Maybe someone else overpaid for it. Maybe maybe the $500 buyer and Dan both overpaid. Maybe it's really worth $50. No, I'm being extreme just to make the point. It makes because you made the point, Chris. You said, what are we anchoring what is CL being anchored to? What are we anchoring our valuation approach to? Dan implies that it's being anchored to his sale. Jake's toe says, well, maybe someone else overpaid for it. So really, Dan, in a way, maybe by CL value, you're like, hey, you're already up $4. You're like the Wondershine Index, Dan. You're already building in gains on your purchases from a few days ago. But you got CL doing it for you instead of yourself. And thank you, Dan. I would pay you a lot more than 50. I'm just trying to make the point. Go ahead, Chris.
It's good. It's just a great topic, and I think it comes back to something that I've noticed is just the increasing, and this is part. I think repack culture is reinforcing this. I just think technology is reinforcing this. There's an over reliance on comps as the beginning, middle, and end of each collector's judgments when deciding what something is worth. And I just don't feel comfortable with that system. I think, there in the stock market, there's the efficient markets hypothesis, which resulted in a Nobel Prize for its creators, which sort of, in a nutshell, is the idea that the price of a stock perfectly captures all the information that's available about it at a given time. And that we do not have an efficient markets hypothesis for sports cards. I think, in fact, that a lot of times when you look at a data point for a comp that's on a screen somewhere, you're looking at a piece of information that possibly was created by people who are quite ignorant of the total market offering, or you're looking at a piece of information by somebody who might have been swept up in hype, or somebody who received some advice. We don't really know how sophisticated the buyer and the seller were when any given transaction is made. So and this is like especially applicable when you start getting into like rare cards or cards that you just sort of start noticing that like if you know the full offering of a player's catalog, sometimes you'll see a card and you'll be like, this card has 500 copies. This other one has 50, but nobody knows about the card with 50 copies, and everybody's chasing the card with 500. What if everybody knew about this other card with 50 copies too? Would the card with 500 copies still be worth as much? So in other words, is this comp the byproduct somewhat of ignorance? So there's just so many questions that comps present that I just think that's just pulling back a little bit from the over relying on comps, using comps as a data point. It can be instructive. But and also the elephant in the room that has to be discussed is the potential that a comp is reflecting one genuine buyer and a shill bidder who drove them up to the certain price, or reflecting the potential that a comp is completely artificial and manipulated. Those are potentialities too. So I just think, like, with the data, like a little more humility towards the data, a little more resourcefulness to contextualize. And the way that we contextualize is we can think of what's the opportunity cost? What else could I get for these dollars? Do I know the full offering of other things that my $150 or whatever could spend, or am I just like really focusing on this thing right now and I don't really know if I could have spent my $150 more effectively? So I don't know. There's my I'll get off my soapbox.
No, good stuff. I mean, there's lots there. We're gonna do some more. Josh, before I go to comments, anything you want to jump in with?
Yes, I like to just echo what Christopher said. I was at a show last week, and if there's not a recent sale for a card, 90% of these sellers have no idea what to do. Like, they can't use any sort of critical thinking. Like, I don't know, where is it sold in a while? I'm like, all right, well, like, if it's like a Barry Bonds, like, well, Frank Thomas or Griffey sells for this. Bonds usually 70% of what Griffey sells. I'll offer you this. Oh, I don't know. I'm like, oh, all right. Like, unless there's a number, they can't like think about it, or they can't, use their brains to figure out what to do. Is this total reliance on comps. And like Dan said in the chat, like, most vintage cards, that's what they go for the last sale, which is fine, because like a 65 mantle sells at least like 20 times a day, so that's different, but tell me about like a Bond bred Mikan or a Red Heart mantle. There's another one too, the Burks mantle from 51.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan, that's the thing. It's like, love him or hate him, comps are a part of the commerce in the hobby nowadays. So, either find a way to handle them, find a way to navigate them as being part of that. When listen, at the end of the day, we're also, especially the card show, you can negotiate with somebody and you can show them the comps as well. They can show you the comps, and you just always have the final say as to whether or not you want to buy the card or sell the card, for that matter. So I think we all use comps, because, well, I shouldn't say we all use comps. I said, when I'm buying cards, I look at comps as well. In many cases, I look at comps. Sometimes I just don't care. Every situation is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, I think we want to buy cards as well as we can, and we use all the information that's available to us, or at least some of us do, I suppose. But Dan makes a good point there. Okay, I'm going to do a few. Okay, Carvin's comment from a long time ago: does Jeremy love his children like his cards? Thus, you don't love your kids equally? Oh, of course I love my cards equally, Carvin, just like you would if you had more than one. Of course, say hi to little Gracie. We all love Gracie. PB&J cards, price guides, and modern comps are just suggested values. All they are is a way to value your cards when you're not selling them.
Terrific comment. I would put that on a t-shirt.
They are not price tags on future cards that you might buy or sell. They are historical data or a guide towards that based on aggregated data. A price guide, which Card Ladder Value, I don't believe is a price guide. I think it's a reflection of a player's index relative to a specific card. That's not a guide. It's a CL value. And that the key isn't value. The key is CL, the Card Ladder Value. Understand it before you consider it a price guide. Foul Ball said, Ziggy wanted to call in to give an opposing opinion. Oh, this is a long time ago on Hobby Holland, but Dan said no. I thought Hobby, okay, Foul Ball, yeah, but I mean, at the same time, respecting the guests on the screen comes first, call in or not. So I'm definitely seeing it Dan's way. If that was, I couldn't see the chat, unfortunately. Diamond Relic says, do you think that repacks are what is pushing Griffey Upper Deck PSA 10s and other similar high pop, high demand cards that wouldn't otherwise be appreciating this rapidly? I mean, I don't know what comes out of Arena Pack slabs, but I learned today from an Arena Club advertisement that Arena Club is where collecting begins. Actually, I don't know. I'm just gonna. I was really intrigued by the post that they made. Did you guys see that, Chris or Josh? Did you see that?
I saw you shared it with us. That's hilarious.
That's where you saw it.
It's like my worst nightmare. That picture.
Oh yeah. It's an advertisement for the 3 stages of ripping a slab pack, but I didn't know Arena Club has a new motto: where collecting begins. I did not know, and I actually have an issue with this. Listen, I had Brian Lee, the owner of Arena Club, or the founder, on a while ago. Never had his co-founder Derek Jeter on the show. Maybe one day, but I actually take exception to that. I don't think that Arena Club is where collecting begins. I think it's where collecting can end. I think it's where I don't think it's at all where. I'm actually getting pissed off thinking about this, because collecting begins in the schoolyard recess. That's where collecting began. That's where it began. Nowadays it might, but listen, it probably does begin there for some people because they're doing a great job advertising. So maybe that it is, listen, maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm way out of line here. Maybe with the way the hobby is going, with the gambling aspect of it, maybe it is going toward, maybe the hobby does begin at Arena Club because they're going to recruit people in from their ads and they're going to get into the hobby. But are they really going to be collecting, or are they going to be gambling? Or, well, there will be some of both, right? Some people will actually start collecting. Some will just be in it for the gamble. But I don't know. I still, this is maybe a bit of the like old man get off my lawn thing. I don't know that Arena Club's new motto, where collecting begins, is right. I just have an issue. Am I alone, guys? Does anyone have an issue with that position that they've taken, that Arena Club, of all places in the hobby, is where collecting begins? It's not Upper Deck or Top saying that. It's not the LCSs. It's not the card show saying where it's Arena Club. Josh, am I out of line here?
I think it's just an advertising gimmick. I wouldn't get too wound up about it.
Okay, maybe I'm out of line, Chris.
No, just
No, but I
You're-
mean, you don't. It doesn't. It's. But I mean, just I don't know. I think it's Chris. Please, sorry.
You're way out of line. No, I'm with you, and I like what Josh said because I was going to go there first, which is Arena Club is essentially through its advertising. And I'm guessing they put a lot of thought into it, and they've done a lot of A/B testing and trial and error over the years. I think that they're signaling indirectly that messaging in the collector brand, enveloping their product in collector language and imagery, is what resonates with our community. So I think there's a confirmation there that I think we see many of the big companies ultimately arrive at over time. Some it takes them longer than others. Is that people who are in this space love collecting, and the thing that resonates with them is reinforcing their desire and their passion for collecting. So eventually messaging and it all ends up there. Messaging ultimately arrives at the landing place of let's cater to and recruit and say nice things about the collector and about the collecting experience, because that's why at the end of the day many of us are here. But the second thing I wanted to say, which is, Jeremy, I think the thing that's rubbing you the wrong way, the thing that's maybe rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, is that we don't like to see a product that's oriented around chance and excitement and sort of the whole atmosphere that surrounds a repack. We don't really like that being conflated with the art and the act and the process of collecting. We don't want to see those two things sort of get smushed together. In fact, we often define collecting as something that is directly opposite to the repack experience. So I think that's the instinct that's sort of getting triggered when we see messaging like that. Is like, hold on a minute, collecting is actually, in my estimation, the direct opposite of the product being marketed here.
That's kind of what I was thinking. You said it a little bit more softly than I did, but so thank you for that. Canada Blue. So does that, I don't know what this is asking me, Canada Blue, but you say, so does that mean Card Ladder price guide is out as well? I don't think Card Ladder has a price guide. Chris, does Card Ladder have a price guide?
No, I mean, I think, like, in a very general sense, to say that an app that tracks prices is in some sense an updated price guide or a 21st century price guide. I think that's I don't take any exception to that characterization. In fact, I think I've used it before. But if we're getting a little more technical, the idea of a price guide sort of is something separate from something that's tracking historical printed results from marketplaces. There is a difference there. A guide sort of is needed in the absence of the historical data, but once the historical data exists, then it's like, why do I need the guide when I can just really look at the numbers for myself? Which the guide is supposed to reflect in more aggregate type levels, I suppose. The Barnett collection says, what are the odds Card Ladder will be able to include ComC sales one day, Chris? ComC has an amazing database, an amazing history, great people work there. And, look, I mean, just to be completely transparent, we've been trying to find a way to work with them. And I know maybe perhaps some people there listen to this show. And look, we would love to one day, and the sooner the better, team up with ComC and ingest their data. That'd be amazing. For sure. Dan says PSA uses it as a guide. No, and I think I heard, actually, it's funny Dan says that because Chris Carlin said exactly that on Hobby Hotline today, that we use Card Ladder when we're assessing values of cards that they have to pay out on their insurance policy. So Chris Carlin threw us under the bus with that one. No, I mean, that's that they do. They have a results team, and one of the sources that they consult is Card Ladder's database, the tools of Card Ladder. I don't know if they have ever, or to what extent they use Card Ladder value. I know they understand how it works and that it's not a statement of what a card is worth. It's just quite literally what we explained earlier. So, but yeah, I mean, I do know that it's a tool that they use, and I get it. People will sometimes give us a hard time and say, oh, they looked up the last sale in Card Ladder. You guys are contributing to me having to pay more money on the upcharge. And trust me, I get it. I have seen the upcharge notice once or twice in my day, and I absolutely hate it. So I get it.
I would say like PSA using Card Ladder to help determine, they're like, that's just a form of due diligence. It's almost like discovery, from a legal perspective. They need something. They need something. So historical data is probably the way to go when you're paying out an insurance policy. I know if you write off your car, the underwriter, they're going to actually go, because I was renewing my insurance yesterday, literally talking about, I was trying to decide if I needed one way or two way. My car is worth so little. I was just going to say, I don't need coverage if I need repairs or my car is written off and I'm at fault. My car's not even worth $10,000. Do I need to pay insurance? Like at the end, I said, fine, I'll take it, just to be able to be really safe. But it's kind of like even insurance companies look at what cars sell for when they are paying out claims. PSA needs to do the same thing. So they need to get it from somewhere. So, I mean, I hear what Dan's saying, but are they using it as a price guide, like the technical term, or are they using it simply as due diligence to really to meet their obligations? And maybe that's one and the same. Maybe it's just semantics. But Skeppy says, Jeremy got fired up. I thought he was going to turn into Hank from Me, Myself, and Irene. Bob Boozle, cash me out, bro. That's the old, on the phone talk sort of thing. The real Ron Fig, PSA upcharges based on comps from somewhere. So I think they should offer to buy the card from you for the price they claim the card is worth. Yeah, fair. Dan's Vintage, I just won a huge lot and love of the game. That was me shouting. Congratulations. We heard you. We heard you. Congratulations on your win, Dan. Chris C says, Arena Club, they want addicted gamblers. They don't care about collectors. Bob Boozle says Arena Club is the end of the world. And Rich Barone, the mayor of Canada, is not opening any. Oh, he says, is opening any box not gambling? And he also says, what up, brother? Tonight is up, Richie. Good to see you, bud. Good to see you. But his first comment, isn't opening any box gambling? I mean, I personally think it is. I think there's a gamble in opening anything you don't know what's inside. Josh, what do you think? Is opening any, if you were to go buy yourself a pack of 03 Exquisite right now for $50,000 probably would set you back. Would that be gambling, or a box of 97 Metal Universe? Is that gambling, or maybe not?
Yeah, of course it is, because you're spending 50 grand hoping to get a lot more than 50 grand. So it's absolutely gambling. Give me an 89 Fleer baseball pack any day with the August stamp on it so you can get the Ripken card. That's gambling too, though. See, there you go.
Yeah. Carvin is glad to hear that Hoj is buying up a deck stuff. Still waiting on him buying some of my key pieces. Unfortunately, not the 90s. He's talking about the Exquisite. Davia says there is so much data to extract from Card Ladder, far from irrelevant. Skeppy, it doesn't. Oh, I'll let you guys talk amongst yourselves. Sullivan Sports Car says, great point, Jay. I believe so many of these first sales are a host to prop the market and watch it drop. I think that was in relation to the Gene Hackman 101, actually. I think it was. Canada Blue says a stock is the same. A card is not the same as the next. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely true. Dave Snyder says, I love the fact that your show has took a stand to cover all topics, good and bad. And I love that you find a way to say you don't like something without saying you hate something. Oh, I'll say if I don't like something though, Dave. I just try. Listen, I'm just really cognizant of the fact that just because it's in my purview doesn't mean it's the complete story about something. And that, many times there are reasonable, plausible explanations for things that we can't even conceive. So I don't know. If I don't like something, I pretty much say it, I think, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. What else can I say? Thank you. Jake's Toe, unopened product is gambling these days because it's all overpriced. Chris C says it is gambling. Yeah. Oh boy. So speaking of like reasons for cards, I picked this up the other day, Chris and Josh. This is a 2020 Metal Universe Jambalaya Connor McDavid. The only reason why I was willing to put this in my collection is because it is Connor McDavid's first jambalaya. Now, he's had several. There's an achievement, an EPAC achievement. There's other years. He's had 3. I don't know how many he's got now. I've lost track. There's that many jambalayas now that I've just lost track. But this is his first. And this is like, I haven't done a social media post. This is my social media. That's why it's important to me. I like jambalayas, even though I think there's too many of them now. I like them. I don't necessarily need more than one per player. I like firsts. Just one, and I like the looks of it. It made sense to me. It's in a PSA 9 holder. Looks every day a 10. 5 years ago, couldn't be happier with it. But it's Connor McDavid's first jambalaya. Just thought I'd show you guys because it's on my desk. Chris, tell me how much you love it. Josh, tell me. I know. Well, Josh, Chris, tell me how much you love it. Josh, I know you love it.
Great, man. I love the so I think like with a card, I wanted to check a few boxes for me. I want to be able to talk about it for an hour if I needed to, or if I had the opportunity, and I want to be able to sum it up in an elevator pitch. You just gave the elevator pitch, right? First jambalaya, it's Connor McDavid, player of the era. That's a great elevator pitch. And jambalaya too, like people sort of need to understand the history of jambalaya and how important it is to 90s collecting, and how that IP is continued on under the Upper Deck umbrella, and like there's so we could start going into depth there. We could talk for that card if we wanted to. We could talk about that card for an hour. We could get into McDavid and his playoff trials and tribulations and his MVPs and where he stacks up. I mean, we could talk for an hour about that card if we wanted to, or you just gave the elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is so important. I try to master that. I try to master the elevator pitch for any card, but for me, that's really hard.
Brett Miles says, opening product is not gambling. Gambling equates to a win or a loss. All or nothing. You walk away with something opening product every time. The level of return benefit is an individual's assessment. I disagree, Brett. I disagree personally. And here's why. I think it really comes down to, I agree with the one thing. It comes down to the mindset of the buyer. Some people, it is all or nothing. Nothing, you can spend $500 on a box of sports cards and walk away with $100, and to that buyer, that they lost. They're never going to receive their $100 in value. Those are going to get put away or given away. They literally were gambling for the all. They wanted the all. They didn't get it. They didn't get more in value than what they spent. So they lost. I don't think that gambling is an all or nothing thing. I don't think that's a fact. I don't think that's a truth. I should say that gambling equates to a win or a loss. I just don't think so. I think you can gamble and lose a portion of your wager versus all of your wager. I do buy into that. You walk away with something opening a product every time. I just say, who cares? Who cares? Because I remember opening product locally at our LCSs when I used to, and I just know that the feeling I had leaving the LCS was the exact same feeling I would get losing money at the casino. If in 2008, if I went and played blackjack or poker at the casino and I lost $1,000, I would drive home feeling like I just spent my time and my money and I came away with nothing. I felt that loss, that gambler's loss. Exact same feeling I would go home with after spending $1,000 on wax and coming out with nothing I cared about, nothing I wanted, nothing of value. Whether that 1,000 left me with 100 in value or 400 in value, I still left feeling like I just wasted the money, that differential. So I don't think we can say, I just don't agree. Listen, Brett's a friend of mine. I've known Brett for 20 years. He works at the LCS that I go to in town. So and Brett's been on the show. He's a true collector. He's a great guy. So all that said, I just don't share that thought. I don't think gambling equates to a win or a loss. I think you can have a partial loss. I think opening product is gambling in many cases. Some might be better than others. Just depends on the general value you get. So I disagree with all or nothing. And just because you walk away with something every time, it's like you can spend $1,000 on on a box on a group break, and they'll send you the base cards. You still feel like a loser. You're getting something, but you still feel like a loser. So anyway, that's enough for me on that. Chris and Josh, what are your thoughts? Josh?
Gambling's fun. If you lose at the casino, you can go back tomorrow and try to win your money back. If you lost $1,000 on wax, you really can't win your money back the next day. It's kind of my contribution to this conversation.
The pro gambling take.
Very pro gambling. Not for cards, though.
Not for
but I'm
cards.
pro gambling.
Not for, but when you say gambling, are you talking about the card rooms or the slots or
card rooms and slots? Slots are, you can time the slots, but mostly the card rooms, mostly sports gambling.
Yeah, because you're given like a chip in a chair mentality. If you come in with 1,000, you get down to $5, you could build your way back up.
But Josh, you said you can't go win your money back the next day. I hear about people chasing their losses on sports cards all the time. It's okay. Give me another box. I've done it myself. Buy a box of Black Diamond, buy a tin of the cup, get nothing. Give me the next, Mike, give me the next one. Like and I would leave feeling the same way as if I kept on, doubling down on blackjack or whatever. It was that same feeling. So I think it really comes down to the customer. Not all people are going to feel like I felt, but to me, it was gambling. So I think it's up to the person, not some universal truth.
Cool.
Chris, any comments?
Yeah, I just think I heard this somewhere else, so I can't take credit for it. And this is getting pedantic, so feel free to cut it off or just say, look, you're not going in the right direction here. We're trying to do something else here. But in a certain sense, depending upon what you mean by gamble, I suppose there's probably a technical definition of a gamble that matters. But in the
interest of time, try and keep it simple.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? In a certain sense, when if I get in a car and take a drive, I'm taking a gamble. I'm gambling with my life, right? So it's just, to me, it's like it seems that risk always exists on a spectrum, and there's probably a point at that spectrum where we say the risk becomes large enough and sufficient enough that it's gamble in the pejorative sense, or in the sense where maybe we need to protect people. And I don't know. I don't quite know when risk becomes gambling and when it's just risk.
Well, here's a good comment from the Cardboard Man. Simple explanation to why opening boxes is a gamble is the outcome mostly by chance. Pack odds right on the boxes. Odds for roulette are right there too. Like there are odds hey, we call them hits. They're called hits because you're hitting something of value, and they're not always of value. Even the manufacturers call them hits now. Products are built around the gambling nature of sports cards these days. They are customized in a way for group breakers, which is different than buying a whole box at an LCS. I get it, but I've long had the position that opening wax in any situation, in any environment, has an element of gamble to it. Chris?
There's like there's an artifact in today's products that traces back to a different time in the hobby when you would buy a box for a few bucks, and the box would give you most, if not all, of the base set. And it was more like you were buying a product at that point. You were buying a product that provided you with all these cards, and then you got the enjoyment out of reading the back and enjoying the art and maybe putting them into binder pages or putting them into shoe boxes. And so there was this sort of idea that you were just buying this consumer product. And maybe you got a full set, maybe you didn't. Maybe you had to trade with some friends to complete the set, maybe not. And that was the idea. That was collecting. That was how it worked. And then eventually, the contents of the boxes became increasingly rarer and became increasingly more valuable. And all of a sudden, the boxes themselves became more and more valuable in price. And all of a sudden, the boxes aren't even coming close to giving you the full set. Instead, the boxes are really just giving you a tiny chunk of the base set. But I could tell you this, even as recently, wax has become so expensive. It's just very, very rare that I'll ever buy any. But I remember 7-8 years ago, buying like Prism basketball boxes, or like even this is even a better example. Around 9 or 10 years ago, Christina and I were buying boxes of 2015-16 Don Russ basketball. The hobby boxes were like $50 or $75. Really cool rookie class that turned out to have Jokic in it. And we were building the master set, and we wanted to get the full base set, the rookies subset, all the insert sets. We wanted to complete not the parallels and stuff, but just we wanted one of the base version of every single insert, every single card. And so we would just buy more boxes. We bought retail, we bought hobby, we bought blasters, we tried to put together the whole master set, and I think we got really close. I don't know, those binders are somewhere. And anyway, so that's like a form of like, I would have a hard time describing that as gambling. I just think we were just buying boxes, we were retrieving the cards from them, we were putting them in binders. We're like, okay, we're missing these. We'll have to get another box and see if we can get it this time, or we'll have to go to like Rob Veris's online store at that time and buy the singles to fill it in. I just think that's kind of the history there of how these products evolved and what they produced and how people use them is a part of the story too.
Yeah. Well said. Okay, let's run through a bunch of comments here on the topic. Jeremy from California. I try my hardest to make my older self feel how I felt when opening packs in 1986. I don't care what I get, just the fun of opening packs. All the power to you. And I mean that so sincerely. Bob Boozle, dear journal, I was proud when Jeremy picked up Connor McDavid's first jambalaya. Talk to you tomorrow. Sincerely, Bob Boozle. Brett Miles, I hear you, Jeremy. I respect that. Thank you, Brett. Skeppy said gambling becomes a problem for people because they lose. People aren't addicted to the win. They are addicted to the prospect of winning. PBJ, opening wax breaks down to if you are opening just for the entertainment or a resale value, which I think makes sense. But then Carvin says, I know many collectors opening wax and have gone bankrupt. So it comes, like back to PBJ's comment here, it breaks down to if you're just opening for entertainment or resale value. And then it comes down to like, how much are you spending? And can you, because gamblers will overexert. They will go broke. Some of them will go broke because they need that rush. They need that. They need to chase the losses, or not need, but they, or maybe need, or just do chase the losses. So yeah, I mean, if you can open, like I'll buy packs of cards for my kids to open for fun, but I'm not spending $400, you know. Hey, other families could spend $400 just for the fun of opening the packs. And some other families can spend $40,000 just for the fun of opening a pack of 03 or whatever, old Exquisite or Cup or whatever. They can do that because they have way, way, way more money. So what's a gamble for me can be entertainment for you. And that's an important part of it too. Brett says, I've never felt the same way when opening product versus being at the casino. I always cringe when I hear the word gamble. It feels like an easy brush stroke. Yeah, and it is an easy and convenient brush stroke, but I'm trying to find the parts that are not gambling. Like buying packs of hockey cards at Tim Hortons. It's not really gambling. There's no major, there are some hits actually, but the chances are so far and few between to get one because it's so mass produced and distributed, and the packs are $1.99. Is that gambling? Probably not. You go to McDonald's, or Tim Hortons, grab a coffee and 3 packs of hockey cards. I don't think that's gambling. But you go buy a box looking for the hits. I think that's where we get into gambling territory. Dog Food Soup. I chased my loss on a pack of Magic the Gathering last night after watching someone open a crazy pack. Hadn't done that in ages. Brett Miles agrees. It's on the individual person to decide if you are gambling or not. And I'm kind of paraphrasing a bit, but I think that's what he's getting at. We got Jake's Toe says you have to be 18 plus to enter a casino because you're at risk of getting nothing in return. Buying cards, you're still getting something for your money. So there's no age limit. Right. But there's also no age limit. Like gamble, like you can gamble at places other than a casino. Even kids can gamble. Coin flips at card shows going on between 15-year-olds. So I don't know that Jake's Toe is making this point, but my counterpoint to the point Jake's Toe might not even be making is that I don't think gambling has an age limit, whether it's legalized or not. Brett Miles says, I hear a lot of people throw out the word gambling, and I always try to provide an alternate view because I just don't like hearing that word used in this hobby as much as it is. Well, Brett, are we sweeping it under the rug, or do you just not think it is that there's as much gamble in the hobby as the narrative would suggest? I think that's a key distinction there. Ding Corner says, one thing that is different about cards than placing a bet, the sports book won't negotiate the odds with you, but you can negotiate the price of a card. Sure, but you can't really negotiate the price of a box at a card store. Or even better, you go to Target, Walmart to buy a box, a Blast or a Panini, looking for that color blast. You're not negotiating with them on the price. So we're not talking about gambling. Towards Ding Corners, this discussion around gambling in the hobby is not on the purchase and sale of singles. It's the purchase and sale of wax, unopened product. Carvin says, when I first built products in 2001, I said gamblers and pack rippers have the same desired outcome. Yeah, I mean, that's from a guy who built these products that led to where we are today in many ways. So one more, they were thinking about gamblers even back in the day in the early 2000s. And LGC says, going to the casino with friends and opening wax with my son has an experiential / social value. It's not an all or nothing for me. Different strokes. And there's 14 comments since I started reading those ones, which I haven't got to yet. So I'll stop there and ask for any thoughts, comments from the panel, from Chris or Josh. While you guys, if you have, Chris, you have anything? If not, that's fine.
No, I'm good.
How about you, Josh?
To use a gambling term, I will stay.
and I fold.
Chris folds. Josh is staying, and I'm the dealer, so I'll deal out a couple more comments here, and then we'll wrap it up, guys. Go ahead, Josh.
I have a topic, and I thought of this since yesterday. So when you're done, I'll raise my topic.
Okay, let me get to this comment from Jeremy in California. I guess it is how much you're buying, just for a few. I guess how much you buying for just. Sorry, I can't fight through that comment, Jeremy from California. If you want to try again, I welcome you to do that. Dog food soup, doesn't the hobby need the gamblers? If there weren't the gamblers, not as much product would be open and singles wouldn't be available for purchase. I often say that, Chris, but I say the breakers. Like, thank gosh we have breakers. Otherwise, cards aren't being broken nearly as much as they are, and there's fewer singles out there for us to buy. But for the breakers need the customers. So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Would it change your hobby experience at all? And or do you have an opinion on if the format through which cards were issued completely went away from the sealed box and the pack and instead went to a direct to customer method, or maybe even just, either at a fixed price or just like, every card goes to auction and you can, just whatever, just the cards just debut at auction and somebody bids and then off from there.
I went down that thought pattern a while ago, Chris. I was thinking that eventually it's going to go that way. Sure, you'll always have flagship products that people can buy packs of, but I thought, eventually, and maybe it was like pandemic driven or, postal strike driven, whatever. I forget what drove this thought pattern I was having, but I was thinking like, maybe it was Fanatics getting rid of the wholesalers, the middlemen in between them and the retailers. Thinking like, why does Fanatics, and like, listen, I'm not advocating for this, but why does Fanatics even need the LCSs? And I know there's great reasons for them, so don't take this literally. It's just one aspect of it. But like, if they could just put everything on their website and auction them off or price them to sell them. Like, there's a company called President's Choice run by Brian Price, used to own In the Game, and other companies as well along the way. Everything is just direct marketing. They're basically custom cards. They're not licensed or anything. Anyone could do them, but he's built up a following and a customer base, and it's all direct to customer. And I thought, why couldn't Fanatics do that? If we're getting rid of the wholesalers, what do they need the retailers for? And I know, again, just to say, community and education and experience, I get it, and I buy into it. But does Fanatics really need that, like, to run their business? Would the buyers go away in the absence of LCSs is sort of a question that needs to be answered along with your question, Chris, to find out.
Yeah, those are great points. But I'm specific, like Jeremy, you, the collector, do you prefer a world where cards come out of packs and boxes, or would you prefer a world where as soon as the product was made and the cards were manufactured, they all went up for auction and you could went direct to consumer?
Oh, that's a tough question. It's tougher than you'd think because it went direct to consumer. I think we might save some money because now we're not paying the hold on, Josh. Now we're not hold your thought. Now we're not paying the rents and the employees at the card shops. There's going to need to be new infrastructure at the card company to handle that distribution channel though. So that might actually, net out to zero. But honestly, packs, Chris, I like cards. That is what I grew up on. So this just might be me, my traditionalism. I like my cards pack pulled. I don't mind direct to consumer. I've been buying some Upper Deck game dated moments cards that I think have significance. So I'm a bit of a hybrid that way, but mostly packs. Mostly I want my cards out of packs. I don't mind box bottoms, a few other things, but yeah, I think I'm going to go packs with that question. Sorry, Josh, you want to jump in? Please go ahead.
Only packs. The other way is a terrible idea because it'll only go to the most people have the most money, and the wonder goofballs, Shine, what his name is, are just going to buy everything up. Packs are democratic. It's the American way. Every person has the same shot. So you buy a box. I could win that pack. Some 12-year-old kid could win the pack. You could win the pack. Chris could win not win. You know what I mean? Get whatever cards out there. The Caleb Williams rookie. That's going to be worth $1 million after you win Super Bowl.
But Josh, Here, let me just change the rules for a moment because I want to get your thoughts on this. If it was simply like a race to get it, just like it is in card shops now in many cases, or there were limits, like if limits were placed on what you could buy on the online shop, if there were no bots at all were able to get in and scoop them all for future scalping, if that was not possible, if everything was priced reasonably or the same as they are now, and again, there was no preferential treatment, then would it matter to you? So again, like no bots, no rich guys buying it all up before anyone else can or outbidding people because they're not bidding. They're all, MSRP type prices. Then what do you think?
Well, yeah, but that's just a card shop then. But yeah, I would say yeah,
direct to consumer. I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean that's no problem with that.
No problem with that.
Yeah.
That's interesting, right? So really, like I like cards from packs, and I like how you said the democratic process and the experience of opening the pack. Although nowadays, I don't know what the percentage is, but I won't say most, but I'll say many people they outsource their pack opening for them for a different experience, the online community experience, the group break experience. Brett says pack ripping is the essence of the hobby, always will be to me. I'm glad you added to me, Brett, because I don't think it is to everybody anymore. And maybe for some like Brett should be a breaker. Then you could open all the packs you want, Brett. You'd be swimming in that essence. That'd be great for you. But seriously, and I kind of mean that. I'm not even joking, but I don't really mean it. You know what I mean, Brett? Anyway, yeah, I think it's just an interesting concept. It's a great question. Yeah. Rob Starr said, when you spend money on a product and your clear intention is in the hope of a positive return on that purchase, you're taking a gamble. It's that simple. Bob Boozle says, Brett is the new pack ambassador. Holy crap, that would be wild, he says. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy. All right, guys. Garvin says, stop it, Hoj. We don't want that for the hobby. The royalties won't add up for the licensors. Could be. Brett answered my question earlier. Not sweeping under the rug. It's more providing people with a viewpoint when approaching a pack rip or a box to open. Yeah. I mean, if I ran an LCS, I would just want to lay the disclaimer to customers that, especially if they don't know what they're doing, like, this is $500. You need to know that you could get $80 worth of product out of here or value, or you can get $8,000, but you could get $80 worth, yeah, that's kind of where I fall there, I suppose. So anyway, I'm sorry for any comments that I've missed, you guys, and I feel like there's been a lot as we've been going back and forth. Rock Latex here says, seems like direct-to-consumer would result in higher print runs circulation for the superstars, lower for the semis. I mean, Rock Latex maybe, but you say seems like, is that just where your mind goes? It all depends on, checklist formation, product structure, all these different things. But maybe it would go that way. But I think the leagues require all players to have cards in many cases. Hey, maybe that would go away too. Who knows? So Brett says exactly, a disclaimer can be so much more than the hit or miss. Yeah. If you're building your sets, you want to open a box every year, go for it. No one's going to call you a gambler. Have fun. It's up to you to decide if you're gambling in that case. That's how I feel anyway. You guys obviously don't have to agree with me. They're just my thoughts. Okay. Chris, Josh, you ready to start wrapping up? We don't have to, but we're 3.5 hours though, so we probably do. Go ahead, Josh. I can't tell if you're doing a thumbs up or yeah.
All right. So I got a topic, and
Chris.
Right, so
before you go, Josh, Chris, I know it's late. You got work to do. If you want to drop off, feel free.
I gotta hang around and just see what this topic is. But thank you. Yeah, let's see.
All right. So everyone knows the Chicago Bears are the best team in the NFC, probably the NFL. It's been a huge culture shift the past year. So last year at this time, the Bears fired their head coach after the Thanksgiving game. He was a disaster, horrible. They bring a new guy in. It's a whole different culture for the Bears. And it's been in the course of 1 year. What do you want to see in this next year, a year from now, when we're having this conversation if you still let me on this show? What do you want to see change in the hobby culture? What do you want to see change differently that's now from a year from right now?
And you had this tied into the Bears?
Because there was a culture shift that created this awesome juggernaut of a team that is going to win the Super Bowl. So, and it's made football better. What do you want to see to make the hobby better in a culture, in a shift in the hobby culture? Like, what do you want to see? Like my example would be less focus on gambling, less focus on, hits, all that kind of stuff. More focus on collecting, more hobby content on collecting, like your show, like Crossover does, stuff like that. Like, what do you want to see a change in the hobby culture?
I want to see a way for people to, I just feel like there's so much, I used this term recently with midlife, but this is different. I want to see more understanding in the hobby. I want to see, there's so much divisiveness. There's so much headbutting in the hobby, the collectors versus investors, grading versus eye appeal, all these different things, group breaks versus, opening your own product, all these different things. I want to see more understanding of each other and less just projecting that your way is the right way. I try to stay mindful of this. I'm sure I'm guilty of violating what I'm talking about right now at times. I just, without thinking about it, as we all do, just project my thoughts and theories on things, on how I see the world working and what I like on others. So I want to see more understanding, more of like a shared language on this stuff. I'd like to see as well, that helps us understand each other better. I think that's something that I would like to see happen in the future, because we don't need to be so divisive. We don't need to get our backs up when someone doesn't like something that we do like. And I do this myself. So I need to become more understanding of other people. And I think we do that by just like asking questions, like, how do you approach the hobby? Before I attack you for you saying something that I don't agree with, I need to know where you're coming from. So I want to understand the people I'm talking to better so that I can have a better understanding of where they're coming from. And then I can maybe not get worked up because that's where they're coming from. Just like Brett and I just did in the chat. We weren't like, Brett and I are friends. Like we have mutual respect to, through the coming overflowing. So there was none of that, but let's understand each other. Where are we coming from? and we talked it out through the show and the comments. And I think we kind of got there. So I know it's a long answer, Josh, but you asked about culture. Listen, because I also want to try to be realistic with my answer and not say I want the gambling to go away. I mean, you offer that as an option, I think, just for illustrative purposes, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm trying to think of something reasonable, like, oh, everyone get along. Let's be more positive. I don't want that either. But I also know it's not realistic. So I'll stop there, and Chris is still thinking. I'm trying to talk as much as I can, Chris, so that I'm now just fluffing it up so that you can have more time. But it looks like you might be ready now.
No, it was a great answer. I'm just going to echo that. I'm terrible at 30,000-foot questions. I'm so in the weeds of things. I would want to take like weeks to think about this. So I like mutual understanding. I think mutual understanding is a great all-encompassing culture shift and mentality approach that kind of applies to everything. Like, I want there to be kind of more understanding about how comps work. I want there to be more understanding about eye appeal. I want there to be more understanding about like how you and Greg talked about how auction places and their terms work. I just understanding can go a long way as a culture shift.
How about you, Josh? Did you have any thoughts on it?
So I like what you said about understanding each other, not being critical of what other people do. I don't know if you knew this. I can be that way a lot. So it's also good to understand that everyone collects differently. It's a big hobby, and there's a lot of ways to enjoy it, and everyone's got a different way to enjoy it. And that's great.
Absolutely. Okay, well, here, I'm glad you guys liked my response. And I think the chat did too. Skeppy said a culture shift requires leadership similar to the Bears. So the better question, who will the leaders be to create the culture change? Great question, Skeppy. Brett Miles, great question. I would love to see more patience and enjoyment of the environment, less the silos. Waxstar says, have we given up on getting more women in the hobby? I mean, that's a weird one for me. It's like, we're not giving up, but I'm not out there recruiting women either. Like, I'm not like deliberately talking to women saying, hey, you want to join me in the sports card world? No, but if I see a woman at a show, which I do, I treat her like I would any other collector who comes to my booth. I don't make any assumptions. One of the things I do at card shows when I'm set up, a couple will come to my booth. I've told this story in the past. I haven't told this in a while, but a couple comes to my booth, a husband and a wife. The wife is looking at her phone, just kind of, the husband's looking at the showcase. First thing I do, I look at the wife. How do I put it? I say,
I don't know.
I say something like, I say to the wife, so you dragged your husband along? Something like that, to make like she's the one who's there. Now, that's not the question, but no, I don't think we've given up on getting more women in the hobby, but I don't think it's something that like we can just go have a recruiting session. Like, I think I like the comment. I'm not getting the comment. I'm just saying, like, what can we do? The talking heads. What can the talking heads do? Different than the manufacturers, different from, I don't know who else there really is at that point. Okay. Brett Miles, 1000%. Jeremy, always enjoy the conversation. Value your viewpoints. Jeremy from California says, what Jeremy Lee just said is awesome and agree. Have fun, be smart, and enjoy this beautiful hobby. Well said, Jeremy from California. Bob Boozle, Jeremy gave Hoj a good lob. Let's see if he dunks it.
I don't think I dunked it.
He passed it back to me.
I passed it back. I think Dinged Corners dunked it, though. I think, this is a great comment.
Dinged Corners says, culture shift, more integrity, up and down the board, across institutions and individuals. I couldn't agree more. Chris, I agree with I agree with this. It's a great comment. Is it realistic, though? You think it's realistic, Josh?
Absolutely. You can demand it from the people that you vote with your wallet. If you don't like scumbag, don't give them your money.
I'm just so tainted on all the shysters that we've seen and we have, like, I'm not tainted because I'm not going to let them chase me. That's for damn sure. But I just feel like bad actors are going to bad act and they're going to come into our hobby, so like they have, and they likely will continue to. Chris E says, agree, Jeremy. We all should know where each other are coming from. Dave Snyder, agree. I love seeing women in the hobby, but I don't recruit. Bob Boozle tells me not to look at his wife. Too late, Boozle. Too late. LGC, you can look, but you just can't order. Okay. Dave Snyder, if a woman is in the hobby, they usually bring heavy knowledge. That's good to hear. Laura's in the hobby. Laura's in this chat regularly. But I must admit, Laura, did we meet at like a Burbank show? Dude, have we ever met? I probably have asked you this before. You probably answered, but always like seeing Laura in the chat. Will Jeremy Lee learn to trust again? Tune in next week to find out from Bob Boozle. Hello, name from Indigenous Rookie Cards. Good to show you. Brett Miles says, bad actors are going to bad act. Let's give them less screen time. There we go. That's a good one, Brett. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. This was fun. This was the least planned I had been for an episode in a long time. And sometimes, as Joe said at the top of the show, these can be some of the most fun shows. I think this one definitely held that standard. So thanks to Joe, thanks to Leighton, thanks to Chris and Josh. As always, guys, thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. I jotted a note to myself earlier in the show, and I just wanted to make sure I got this in. I want to give a shout out to Joe Poirot, who I believe used a word for the first time in Sports Card Live's history. He used the word intertextuality. Intertextuality. And I wrote that down. I just wanted to acknowledge that. That was a historical moment.
Thank you to Joe there was a comment in the chat. I didn't get to it before. Oh, I forget who made it, but it was Mookie made some comment about some term Joe, to do when he was writing content.
Oh, yeah. He said we have Joe to thank for Kierkegaard being quoted in captions for items. Yeah, I think if you went back and looked, you could probably find that 8-month window when Joe was writing those captions.
That's right. Yes, you could. I remember him doing that. I remember reading and being like, dude, that's quite the story. Like he's a great writer. Absolutely. And Josh, thank you as well, sir.
Thank you for having me on again. It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. You are welcome. Thank you to Diamond Relics. Good to see you. Thank you, Brett. Wax Stars says, yeah, he's getting ahead of us here, Wax Stars. Who is Wax Stars? Is that who we think it is? Or is this someone else? We don't know.
There's an extra X. That's what.
That's the problem. Wax Stars. What? Who are? Put your name. Let us know. What's your name? Would love to know. Thank you, Ding Corners. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'll be back tomorrow night for Fanatics Weekly Auctioneering Watch Party. I basically pick like 50, 60, 70 cards and just look at them, inspect them, zoom in, talk about them, throw a bid in once in a while. I do it on my phone, not on screen. Anyway, that's tomorrow. We'll be back next Saturday. Thank you, Justin Bode. Thank you, Yankees. Thank you, Name from Indigenous. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you, everybody. All right, guys, here for November the 29th, 2025, on behalf of Leighton and Joe, Chris and myself, this episode of Sports Cards Live is now over. And with that, good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Sports Cards Live community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most of all, keep collecting. More great content to come. Sports Cards is a lifestyle.